20.
He's New England's talk radio king. He's Howie Carr.
The only French term I like is sans culotte, without trousers. I used to describe Ted Kennedy as sans culotte because after the O'Bar incident, when he was wandering around down on the beach with his 20th scotch tumbler of the day in his hand, stumbling around with an... He was just there, as the Michel Casson, Patch's date said, he was just there, without trousers. Or as we say in Paris, sans culotte.
We've seen nothing that we can work, that I can work with President Bush on, and I'm disappointed because I thought that there might be some interest because of what he said in the campaign.
President Bush, this is your brain. This is your brain on Botox, okay? That's the lesson of that one.
You're listening to the Howie Carr Show.
And now, another minute of Madam Speaker, Nancy Pelosi.
But, again, don't...
You have these wings, AOC and her group on one side.
It's like 5 people. They would say... play games, and then they'd say, open sesame, except we don't say sesame, we say open Biden. But no, because we are not. We have the number is growing. We have 91 women. There are 115 women in Congress, 116. 15 are Republican, 91 are Democrats. I happen to be a manifestation of the women power that is coming forth now, but only one manifestation. It was like getting kicked in the back by a mule constantly. It was physical. It was so unbelievable. The Times found Lincoln. Not to be presumptuous to put ourselves in those categories, but the Times have found us.
Here's how it works with my retirement accounts, and I'll bet yours too. If your 401k, your SEP, your IRA, whatever, is going up, you probably don't think very much about it, right? But if it's going down, well, there's nothing much else you can think of. So for the last couple of years, none of us have been worrying much about those quarterly statements. But lately, it's gotten a little worrisome. It's not that bad, not yet anyway, but what goes up must come down. Now is the time to start thinking about adjusting your investments. Gold and silver have always been a hedge against stock market volatility. Uncertainty about the future has traditionally met rising prices for precious metals. Orion Metal Exchange is the only precious metals company I trust. Give Orion a call to get a free, no-obligation investment guide about protecting your future with an enduring investment in gold and silver. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain, including peace of mind, by calling Orion Metal Exchange now. Call them today at 800-912-2300. And with Orion, you'll get more metal for your money. Call 800-912-2300. That's 800-912-2300.
Better strap yourself in. It's time for the Howie Carr Show.
Nameless agents riding around in vans, pulling people off the street, depriving them of their constitutional rights. That is not what a democracy looks like. And we are not going to have that in the city of Chicago.
The Department of Justice will immediately surge federal law enforcement to the city of Chicago.
We're moving in lock, stock, and barrel. And I dare you to keep me out!
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
There are meaningful ways that the president could actually help. Instead, it's denigrate, divide, and disparage.
Unfortunately, that level of pettiness is causing disaster in the city of Chicago right now. Too many politicians in my city and across this nation find it's easier to pander to the lowest common denominator in our societies as opposed to challenging people to believe and aspire for something greater.
Who's your captain? Howie Carr.
And what President Trump has done, his spreading of racism, the way he deals with people based on the color of their skin, their national origin, where they're from, is absolutely sickening. People don't make a distinction. As you well know, from a South Korean and someone from Beijing, they make no distinction. It's Asian.
You're not Chinese? I thought you were Chinese. She's not Chinese. I was duped.
unchained, and unstoppable.
You know, the cognitive test.
Well, when do you take that?
But usually when there is some issue or some concern about your cognitive abilities.
So, what were the animal shapes?
Well, it's a lion, a hippo, and a camel.
Isn't that a rhino in the middle?
A rhino.
You don't know a rhino
That's a
from an
rhino,
elephant.
sorry, yeah.
One morning, I shot an elephant in my pajamas. How he got in my pajamas, I don't know.
Rump swabs, hacks, and moonbats beware. It's Howie Carr.
Joe Biden. They all look alike. I mean, that's what that boils down to. That's what he's saying. I mean, that's what if Trump had said that people can't tell the difference between a South Korean and a Chinese, that would be the headline. Just like, remember Ford to New York, drop dead. They would just boil it down to they all look alike. But Joe Biden gets away with it, and he calls Trump a racist on top of it, the same day that he says that. Have you ever heard anyone confuse the Wuhan Red Death with something that happened in South Korea? I never have.
Never mind the same day. That was the same interview.
It was.
Yeah, it was the same.
It was the same basement tape. Good Lord. And you know what was crazy? There was an Asian woman there, and as he was saying, basically, again, boiling it down, they all look alike. She was nodding. Oh yes, oh yes. If it had been Trump that had said that, she would have had a rotten tomato available to throw it at his head. Ah, man. 844-500-4242. That is the toll-free number of the Howie Carr Show. You want to talk about racism too? I understand these cuts that we're about to play, but under the modern context, as opposed to 1993 when Biden said what we're about to play, it's totally racist. This guy would be canceled for saying some of this stuff. So listen. He's talking about the need for this super predator legislation, I guess, to crack down on street crime. And this is the stuff that Hillary Clinton has taken a lot of crap about supporting, and Bill Clinton has taken crap about signing it into law. But I guess Biden, it sounds like he was one of the sponsors. I guess he was one of the sponsors of the bill back in '93. The Dems had a majority in the Senate, and they had it was like, after Barack was elected in 2008, they had a super majority, I think, in the House and the Senate, and they had the presidency. And after 2 years, they had the presidency. They lost the House for the first time in 40 years. But anyway, this is Joe Biden in 1993. He's talking about an unnamed they. Cut 8.
It doesn't matter whether or not they were deprived as a youth. It doesn't matter whether or not they had no background that enabled them to become socialized into the fabric of society. It doesn't matter whether or not they're the victims of society. The end result is they're about to knock my mother on the head with a lead pipe, shoot my sister, beat up my wife, take on my sons.
May we quote you on that, Mr. Grand Kliegel? Meanwhile, Robert Byrd is going, and he calls Trump a racist? Cut 9.
So I don't want to ask what made them do this. They must be taken off the street. That's number one. There's a consensus on that. Unless we do something about that cadre of young people, tens of thousands of them, born out of wedlock, without parents, without supervision, without any structure, without any conscience developing, because they literally, I yield myself 3 more minutes, because they literally have not been socialized. They literally have not had an opportunity.
Literally.
We should focus on them now.
Figuratively.
If we don't,
literally,
they will, or a portion of them will, become the predators 15 years from now.
Predators. Predators. Let's keep going with this. I like this. I want people to understand this. This is Joe Biden, another of the many chameleons in American politics, of both parties, by the way. But today we're talking about Joe Biden. Cut 10.
And Madam President, we have predators on our streets that society has, in fact, in part because of its neglect, created. Again, it does not mean because we created them that we somehow forgive them or do not take them out of society to protect my family and yours from them. They are beyond the pale, many of those people. Beyond the pale. And it's a sad commentary on society. We have no choice but to take them out of society.
Yeah. 617 says, and don't forget that Hillary said they need to be brought to heel. What is brought to heel? Dogs. Yeah. When I'm driving home at night, there's in a field near the school where I live, or near where I live. They are bringing dogs to heel. They have this guy's training the dogs outside. I assume in pre-COVID days they would have been training them inside, but it's kind of cool to see the dogs, all with their masters and everything. Anyway, one more. Cut 11.
It's a shame, but we don't know how to rehabilitate. But there is a consensus, and I will cease. A, we must make the streets safer. I don't care why someone is a malefactor in society. I don't care why someone is antisocial. I don't care why they become a sociopath. We have an obligation to cordon them off from the rest of society. But they are in jail. Away from my mother, your husband, our families.
We must make the streets safer. You know what Chris Matthews used to call that, the late comrade Chris? He'd call that a dog whistle. Could there be a more, that's a dog whistle I could hear. Yes, Grace.
I just want to say that for years now, we've heard about how Trump is this terrible, racist man. And he should really listen to Joe Biden's old cuts and get some tips so he can be a better racist, because he's never said anything like this before. This is real racism.
No, a lot of this so-called prison reform, which I'm not really totally all into, but I see a need for something. A lot of this is just repealing what Joe Biden is pushing to get passed and did get passed. But let's go out before the break with Joe Biden yesterday. This is Joe Biden before he said he couldn't tell the South Korean people apart from the Chinese people. This is what he said. Cut 6.
And what President Trump has done in going his spreading of racism, the way he deals with people based on the color of their skin, their national origin, where they're from, is absolutely sickening. No sitting president has ever done this. Never, never, never. No Republican president has done this. No Democratic president. We have racists, and they've existed. They've tried to get elected president. He's the first one that has. And the way he pits people against one another is all designed to divide the country, divide people, not put them together.
I can't even say some of the things that JFK used to say. And I'm sure Harry Truman has been accused of being a member of the Klan. How about FDR? FDR appointed Hugo Black, a member of the Ku Klux Klan, to the Supreme Court. He rounded up over 100,000 Japanese Americans.
We've got the LBJ tapes.
Yeah. You want to play some of them?
No. No, I don't.
I thought you'd maybe edited them. Yeah. So, what about Woodrow Wilson? Why did Woodrow Wilson just have all of his name taken off all the buildings and the schools and everything down at Princeton University? Because he was such a woke figure. 844-500. So, but Trump is the most racist. Trump never said anything close to what Biden said in those 4 cuts. Not to be, or 5th cut if you throw in the thing about. People can't tell Asians apart. 844-500-4242. I'm Howie Carr.
You're tuned into the Howie Carr Radio Network.
This hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you in part by Route 1 Grill House in Saugus, located just before the Cactus. From their steak tips and ribs, the Route 1 Grill House has it all. Open now 7 days a week for both outdoor and indoor dining. If you're thinking of replacing your carpets due to pet stains and odors, you must try Genesis 950 first. It breaks down the bonds of stains and odors so they're gone from carpets and padding for good. You can use it in a carpet cleaning machine, and it's green, so it's safe for family and pets. It's the go-to cleaner for when my dog, Mr. Gooner, has an accident, as older dogs so often do. Before you purchase new carpeting, not to mention the padding, and you have to go to the store and measure and all that stuff, you must try Genesis 950. 1 gallon of industrial-strength Genesis 950 makes up to 7 gallons of cleaner, and it's not just for pet stains, it's a disinfectant that kills viruses. It's great for kitchens, garages, grease stains, wheels, tires, and more. Save yourself the trouble of going to the store and seeing your favorite cleaner sold out again. It's made in America, and as we like to say, buy America and support America. Order a gallon direct at Genesis950.com. Enter code Howie to get more than a $10 value in savings, including a spray bottle and free shipping. That's Genesis950.com. Enter code Howie.
He's the co-sponsor of the Green New Deal, so what better time to play some of his greatest hits? Ladies and gentlemen, it's Mr. Frosty.
This is going to be a mission to save all of creation.
If you want to ignore that these changes are taking place and that they're having a dramatic impact, then you are in the right place.
Do you know what the winters were like at Plymouth Rock? Do you know what the winters were like at Plymouth Rock, Senator?
Well, here is the thing.
You don't. How long has your family been in Massachusetts?
We are new arrivals, and
Mr. President, American history was made last night. The Boston Patriots won the Super Bowl.
When the Second Amendment was written in order to maintain a well-regulated militia, they did not have in mind that people could purchase guns indiscriminately. The president is acting like Pontius Pilate.
With all the uncertainty in the world, feeling safe at home has never been more important. It's why I want to talk to you about Simply Safe Home Security. They're longtime friends of the Howie Carr Show, and for good reason. Simply Safe has made it easy to finally get comprehensive protection for your home. There's no technician or salesperson that needs to come and disrupt your house. You don't need to pay any outrageous monthly fees or sign a 2-year contract. You just order online, set it up yourself in under an hour, and your home is protected 24/7 with emergency dispatch for break-ins, fire, and more. All for just 50 cents a day. And we're not the only fans of Simply Safe. U.S. News and World Report named Simply Safe Best Overall Home Security of 2020. Go to simplysafehowie.com to try it out for yourself. That's simplysafehowie.com to make sure they know that our show sent you. That's simplysafehowie.com.
Joe Biden might be running for president in 2020, so we should play some of his greatest hits.
Barack and I finally reduced the disparity in sentencing, which we've been fighting to eliminate, in crack cocaine versus powder cocaine. Correct. It was a big mistake when it was made. We thought we were told by the experts that crack, you never go back.
You cannot go to a 7-Eleven or a Dunkin' Donuts unless you have a slight Indian accent.
If you want to protect yourself, get a double-barrel shotgun. If there's ever a problem, just walk out on the balcony, put that double-barrel shotgun, and fire 2 blasts.
they're going to put you all back in chains.
Give me a break. That's a bunch of malarkey.
The 3-letter word. Jobs. Jobs. Jobs.
One man stands ready to deliver change we desperately need. A man I'm proud to call my friend. A man who will be the next president of the United States, Barack America.
This is Mark in Williston, Vermont.
This is Marie in Somerville, Massachusetts.
This is Mike from South Attleboro, Mass. And this is the Howie Carr Show.
Talking about erectile dysfunction isn't easy. Good thing Roman makes treating erectile dysfunction simple, safe, and from the comfort of your own home. Get a free online evaluation today at GetRoman.com/Howie. If approved, you'll get $15 off your first order of ED treatment. GetRoman.com/Howie. Taylor, what's the poll question? What are the results thus far?
Will you be following Major League Baseball this year?
No.
89% say no.
That's about what
which I think is too low.
There's a certain number of people that it's a habit that's hard to break if you've been doing it your whole life. But, I mean, they're making it very easy, aren't they? I mean, the fact that Fauci is throwing out the first pitch tonight, I mean, guy's 80 years old. And he's still coming to work on a payroll, and it's such a serious, world-threatening problem. He's going to throw out the first pitch.
They're kneeling at the national anthem.
They're kneeling. They're going to put BLM, have it on the pitcher's mound.
Well, Fenway already put Black Lives Matter up behind the Green Monster.
Right. It's on the it's on the Turnpike extension where they used to have the pictures of the dead kids that were shot by the guns. Now this is their new way to virtue signal. By the way, too, they won't pay all the people that were raped by their clubhouse manager $5 million each, even though 16 of the 21 of them are black. They're not willing to give $80 million to black children that were raped by this white monster, but they are willing to put Black Lives Matter up, facing the Turnpike extension. Oh, okay, that's great. That's real. 8-4. Oh, and did you see the latest thing too? Fox in their games this year is going to pipe in noise. Crowd noise, and they're going to use they're going to Photoshop crowds into the stands. They used to always make jokes, that there were the official attendance is 10,000 at Pittsburgh or wherever
Another
it is.
sold out crowd here at Fenway Park.
Yeah, well, then they would say many of the fans apparently came disguised as empty seats. So now they're not even disguising them as empty seats. They're just going to Photoshop. Oh, God. It's just, I can't imagine it. How worthless is this baseball season going to be? And they're all going to. And meanwhile, the NHL, apparently they're expanding. Again, you couldn't prove it by me. They're expanding to Seattle. So they're naming the Seattle franchise the Kraken, which is some kind of sea monster. I don't know. Kraken.
It's like a giant squid.
A mythological squid, though. It's like the Loch Ness Monster or Champy, right? Or Sasquatch. And the Redskins today, the formerly known as the Redskins, their interim name is going to be the Washington Football Team. Some that's exciting.
Go football team!
I want to order some mementos, some paraphernalia. What's going to be on the helmet? Football team, FT. How about FU? Just. Oh my God. 844-500-4242. I've gotten used to not watching ESPN, not watching sports anymore. It was a pretty easy habit to kick. Easier to kick than cigarettes, I'll tell you that. No regrets either, unlike cigarettes. 844-500-4242. Bruce from the Mets says he's an alumnus of Major League Baseball. It was a no-brainer for me. Kneeling sealed the deal. Yeah. I know that was, in case you were wondering, whether you were going to watch it again, the first exhibition game, the Giants players are kneeling, and so is the manager. So, yeah, you're right, Bruce. How much more did you need to know? 844-500-4242. Brad, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Brad.
Hey, Howie. Just wanted to tell you something that happened to me up here in Maine. I hired the Amish to put a roof on for me. Do a wonderful job, but when they came over to do the quote, I asked them, "You want me to do anything about coronavirus or anything?" They straight looked me in the eye and said, "We don't have a television." And I'm like, "What?" And they go, "Yeah, that's all hype on your television." I'm like, "Wow, so you don't believe in it?" Nope. I was like, "Wow, okay."
I hear more and more people saying, "Just turn off your TV set at night." And I watch it. I still watch Fox a little bit, but I don't. I don't watch anything else, Brad. Do you?
No.
Yeah.
I haven't. I mean, I've been so busy. I found more time to do other things instead of watching just, news that lies to you or tells you half-truths all the time.
Right. It irritates me that many of the radio stations that I'm on, and I'm glad to be on the radio stations, when they go to the news at the top or the bottom of the hour, you just hear stuff that totally contradicts what we've been talking about. And I'm telling you, I'm not making it up. Somebody's making it up, but it ain't me. Thanks for the call, Brad. 844-500-4242. We got time for Joe? Joe, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Joe.
Howie, that Kraken hockey team, do you think their motto could be Kraken Lives Matter?
Stop it. All right. Bye-bye. 844-500-4242. 781. 3 years ago, ESPN removed an Asian sports guy's last name Lee because the combination of the two, Robert Lee. Yeah, I remember that. That guy, he was working like the second-tier football games, and he was an Asian, and his name was Robert Lee. And then they tell him that he had to change his name. I don't know. What did they want him to change it to? Michael Cohen was let out of jail today, or he got an order today. You know how old the judge was that let him out? 86 years old. I think he took Dianne Feinstein to the prom. I'm Howie Carr.
These days, a lot of companies are busier than a set of jumper cables at a West Virginia wedding trying to improve their brands. Brand names we've known and loved for years are vanishing before our very eyes. And while we can no longer visit the International House of Burgers, we can take comfort in knowing that the great Matthews Brothers brands won't change. That's because our wicked awesome windows and doors were named for real people. For example, our Walkett brand is named after the oldest founding brother of the company. Spencer Walkett Matthews began studying his craft at the age of 21. When he was 25 years old, he was joined by his brother Noah, then his brother Sanford, and founded the Matthews Brothers Company. Spencer Walkett was obsessed with quality, and he personally inspected every piece that left our factory those first crucial years. For 35 years, he stood at the helm of the company as we gained a reputation second to none for quality, consistency, and reliability. This is what Spencer Walkett Matthews stood for, and it's why we named our premier window line after him. You can learn more about our wicked awesome Maine-made windows and doors, but only at Better Lumber Yards and Window Professionals, or on the web at MatthewsBrothers.com. That's Matthews Brothers with one T, America's oldest window manufacturer.
The Moonbats always say Donald Trump isn't very bright. But what about Barack Hussein Obama? Let's listen to some of his greatest hits.
I've now been in 57 states. I think one left to go. I don't know what the term is in Austrian.
The Cambridge police acted stupidly.
And there has never been any man or woman more qualified for this office than Hillary Clinton.
There are neighborhoods around the country where it is easier for a 12 or 13-year-old to purchase a gun and cheaper than it is for them to get a book.
I believe in the Second Amendment. It's there written on the paper.
If we fall for, a bunch of okey doke.
A few months ago, when you were asked what's the biggest geopolitical threat facing America, you said Russia, not Al Qaeda. You said Russia. In the 1980s are now calling to ask for their foreign policy back.
You've been hearing me talk about Super Beets for a while now, and I'm sure some of you are still thinking, why Super Beets? You could take it from me. The benefits of Super Beets are incredible. I take them twice a day, once in the morning when I get up, even before I have my first cup of coffee, and the other time in the afternoon, right before the show. It gives me a burst of energy. It's great for my blood pressure. It's good for circulation. It just makes you feel better. If that doesn't convince you, we can talk about the science behind Super Beets. Beets have nitrates. Nitrates support better blood flow, and better blood flow equals better energy and efficiency throughout the body, and even supports healthy blood pressure. But Super Beets does so much more than eating regular beets and is unparalleled compared to other beet powders. Just one scoop of Super Beets has the nitric oxide equivalent of 3 whole beets. Go to superbeetsradio.com/Howie and try out Super Beets yourself. www.superbeetsradio.com/Howie. www.superbeetsradio.com/Howie.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
Is Kennedy Babylon 2 your last book?
No, if I think of another topic for a book I want to write, I'll go for it. But I think it's the last of my Kennedy Babylon series. I made Kennedy Babylon 2 kind of long because I wanted to get everything in there. Now there's other stuff I could write about, but I'm Kennedy'd out.
Since having the sleeve operation, do you miss not eating big meals?
No, I don't. I can still eat what I used to eat. I just can't eat as much. I'm now very surprised how much I used to eat. I'm surprised at how much people I eat with consume. It's just hard to believe that I used to eat that much, but no, it's not a problem.
How is Mr. Gooner since Pearl's passing?
Mr. Gooner is drowning his sorrows in food.
What is the most trouble you ever got into as a kid?
My father was giving me grief one time up at Moosehead Lake in Maine, and I threw a rock at him. He didn't much like that.
This is the Howie Carr Show live from Chappaquiddick at the Party House. 25 years after Chappaquiddick 1969. On WHDH, News Talk 850.
Another bad song from 1969. 742-0850. We're going to take some calls this segment if you want to get on board. If you have any questions for John Farrar, the scuba diver who saw Mary Jo Kopechne's body underwater. The number again, 742-0850. We're going to start talking about the incident and everyone's perceptions. John, let me just get this straight. So now, as far as your belief is that while Ted Kennedy was walking past all these houses back towards the Party House where we're broadcasting from now, Mary Jo was still alive.
That is correct.
And she would have been alive probably for about an hour, you think?
I think that's most reasonable, and if an hour, if not longer, that's correct.
If not.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
844-500-4242. Louis Gohmert is a great Republican congressman from the Lone Star State of Texas. Former state judge down there, and he doesn't take any BS. He's the one who asked Peter Strzok about cheating on his wife. Remember that? So today he introduced a new. I would guess it's a resolution. I don't think it's really a bill, but it was a resolution, and he could explain it to you right now.
Whereas on June 18, 2020. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi ordered the removal from the Capitol portraits of 4 previous speakers of the House who served in the Confederacy, saying that these portraits, quote, set back our nation's work to confront and combat bigotry, unquote. The men depicted in the portraits were Democrat Robert M.T. Hunter, Democrat Howell Cobb, Democrat James L. Orr, and Democrat Charles F. Crisp. Resolved, that the Speaker of the House of Representatives shall remove any item that names, symbolizes, or mentions any political organization or party that has ever held a public position that supported slavery or the Confederacy from any area within the House wing of the Capitol or any House office building, and shall donate such item or symbol to the Library of Congress. And 2, that any political organization or party that has ever held a public position that supported slavery or the Confederacy shall either change its name or be barred from participation in the House of Representatives.
Very good. They could change their name to Kraken. And then they could be the crackheads.
Or follow the Washington football team's lead and just be the political party.
The hacks. The hack party. Yeah, Limerick guy said Seattle's new fans will be called crackheads and the hockey arena will be called the crack house. I like calling the Democrat Party the crack party, the Kraken Party. 844-500-4242. That's great. Anyway, I want to play one more thing before we go back to the phone lines. This is from Ed Markey, Mr. Frosty, the incumbent U.S. Senator. And he's running in the primary on September 1st against Joe Kennedy III, and he's the underdog, and Joe Kennedy is probably going to win. But Ed Markey, who's like 75, 76 years old, he's got this weird ad out. This is Ed, I'm from Malden Markey. And he's walking around, he's wearing running shoes and suit pants, which he's got pulled up like over his navel. You know, I mean, I'm reminded of turtleneck pants, as they used to say about Kevin O'Neill. He's wearing turtleneck pants, and he's just like wandering the street like he's Joe Biden.
He looks like
something.
Clint Eastwood's extra in Gran Torino.
But you got to see it, and he tries to push all the Democrat buttons of Black Lives Matter, AOC. They're all there, but listen to this.
This is where I'm from. My father was a milkman. I drove an ice cream truck to pay for college. Lessons I learned here still drive me today. Don't be scared of the tough fights. That's why I was an original sponsor of Medicare for All, and why I wrote the Green New Deal to fight climate change. Remember where you come from. Stand up for people counting on you, and always be a leader in the fight for justice. I'm Ed Markey, and that's why I approve this message.
Remember where you came from. Did you want hot fudge or butterscotch on that Sunday? So there, he mentioned the ice cream truck. There's nothing wrong with being Mr. Frosty, but the fact is that's the only job he's ever had in the private sector, was being Mr. Frosty. 844-500-4, and you ought to see him walking. It's just and then they got a picture of an area. I guess it probably was a drone that took that picture, right? He's walking down the main street, and he's just and there's this drone is following him. As I've said before, if I were still in TV and doing the stories I used to do, the feature stories, I would take a picture of Ed Markey and I would go somewhere in Malden, Oak Square or Malden Center, and I would just hold up the picture and just go and say, "Excuse me, have you seen this guy? You ever seen this guy before? Any idea who he is?" It would just be, no say. And not just no say, but they'd just be saying, I don't know. Who is this guy? Who's this? Did he escape from a nursing home? And he also looks like he hasn't had a haircut. His hair is is curling up in the rear, and there's nothing up top because he's not doing the comb over anymore. So it's like this. The 70s called, and they want their hair. Their hair back. 617 says, did Mary leave enough breadcrumbs so he could get back home? He looks like he needs something to get back home. He looks like he's lost. 844-500-4242. Boudreaux, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Boudreaux.
Hello there, Howie. Good to talk to you again. Listen, why can't the Redskins just keep the daggum name and put one of them taters on the side of the helmet? Hell, everybody likes a Redskin potato. You quarter them, put some maybe some olive oil and some onions, some oregano or something of that Goya.
Yeah, they could call themselves. They could call themselves the Redlegs. How about that? That's what they used to call the Cincinnati Reds for a few years back during the Cold War. Remember that? The Washington Redlegs. That would be good. Or just the Washington Reds.
Like that.
Yeah, I don't know. That's gonna be. That's the team. Well, you guys used to get the Redskins football games in South Carolina. Now you get the Falcons, I would guess, right?
Yeah, and the Panthers. And
the Panthers, yeah.
I've got to give up on the NFL, I was a Steelers fan since Bradshaw had hair. That's how long I was a Steelers fan, but I don't give a whole lot of damns about them no more.
No, my daughter, she works for a guy who has season tickets to the Dallas Cowboys, and so she has access to the tickets, and she sent me the schedule and said, any games you want. The only one I was even halfway interested in was the Steelers, but it's, I'm with you, Boudreaux. I don't really care that much. I'm not. Why would I, take the plane down to Dallas and then, have to go through, security devices and get swabbed and wear a mask and, half the seats are empty. It's just, and then the kneeling and no, I'm all done. I doubt I would watch it on TV, let alone fly down there to Dallas. Thanks for the call, Boudreaux. 844-500-4242. Fred, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Fred.
Hey, good afternoon. Two things for you. Since you're the president of Howie Carr Nation, I'm appealing to you to make a decision to revive the pouring and popping of the beer can that you used to use for Ted Kennedy.
Yes.
And apply it to Marty Party, the dirtbag mayor of Boston.
Well, he's not. He stopped drinking a long time ago. Yeah, I mean, he sounded loaded yesterday at that press conference the other day. But I think he was nervous because he was afraid someone was going to ask him questions about that Monica Cannon Grant, who had said those grotesquely horrible racist things about Rayla Campbell, the Republican candidate. I don't know. I would use. We still have the beer can sound effects. It's just that no one's been arrested for drunk driving recently. You know, I mean, a lot of the people that a lot of the state reps in Boston who used to hang out at the bars. I mean, they're not spending any money anymore. You know, there's this guy Mark Cusack. He's the state rep from Braintree, and I used to have a column every year just going over his financial reports. You know, he spent all of his money. You know. Constituent meetings. That's what he called it. Every night he'd be in like 3 bars in Braintree and one on Beacon Hill. And March, you know, he went from spending like $2,000, $3,000 a month to down to nothing because those bars are all closed. Thanks. 844-500. Let's see, 617. Marky was so stung by your ice cream man characterization at the time that he did a commercial with him in the kitchen with some kids eating hoodsies, remember? In fairness to Ed, he's pretty bleeping goofy, but I don't think he's really that way. We're just a couple of cruel bastards, let's face it. Look, he has led a charmed life. I mean, his intelligence at most rises to the level of average. And yet he hasn't had a real job in 50 years. He hasn't. I'll tell you one thing. You know, if he had to turn over his palms, there wouldn't be any calluses on those palms. And those sneakers were brand new, too. Did you notice that, Taylor? Those sneakers were brand new.
Are you sure?
They look pretty new to me.
They look like they were new out of the box in 1987. And he hasn't opened them till yesterday.
Right. Well, they've sent people in the past over to his house. He inherited the house in Malden from his parents. And there's a meter out there, an electric meter or water meter, and it's at zero. It's at zero. The house is shut down. It's like the neighborhood haunted house. 844-500-4242. 617 says, is Mr. Frosty sure he was in Malden? He could have been in Medford. He still wouldn't know where he was. Yeah, I can't believe he was still wearing those pants. Those were the same pants he wore when he was sitting on the porch and he had the American flag just down on the ground. Remember that? He took a lot of crap in the Herald. And I saw these pictures of him wearing those pants, and I thought, man, he's got to get some new pants. Those are old man pants, and I know he's an old man, but you don't want to be advertising it. So he does a TV spot, and he's wearing the old man pants. 844-500-4242. Rob, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Rob.
Howie.
Yes.
Howie?
Yeah.
I think they're fudging the numbers with this COVID stuff.
I'm sure they are.
My friend has 3 daughters.
Yeah.
My friend has 3 daughters, and they went to be tested, and they waited for over half hour, so they get tired of waiting. They went home, and 4 or 5 days later, they got a note in the mail saying they were tested positive.
Right.
They were never tested.
Oh, I know. I've heard that same story from other people in, on various national talk shows. I think that's going on all over the place. I got a story from Issues and Insights editorial board from yesterday. The big surge in coronavirus deaths is a media-fed myth. I'll try to read some when we come back. 844-500-4242. With 2020 as crazy as it's been, you really start to appreciate the little things. I know I haven't talked about ButcherBox in a while, but my monthly delivery of meat is a convenience that I look forward to. It's one less thing I need to worry about, especially when going to the grocery store can be such a hassle. Who wants to worry about wearing a mask and having to sometimes wait in line to get into the store, the one-way aisles, et cetera, et cetera? Who needs that? Just go to butcherbox.com and order up a box. You can customize the box, 20 different cuts of all kinds of meats, including some premier cuts of steak that you can only usually get at a gourmet butcher shop or at a high-end steakhouse. Everything from ButcherBox is fantastic. ButcherBox makes accessing high-quality meat easier and more affordable than ever. They source their meat from farms with the best practices, ensuring the meat you get was humanely raised without antibiotics or added hormones ever. From free-range organic chicken to heritage breed pork, 100% grass-fed and grass-finished beef, to fresh-caught seafood like salmon and scallops, ButcherBox has over 20 different cuts of meat to choose from, and their boxes ship fresh, right to your door. And their website is loaded with awesome recipes that the whole family will love. Sign up for ButcherBox today at butcherbox.com/Howie. That's butcherbox.com/Howie. Don't forget to order a pound of sausage when you customize your box. The sausage is great. I'm thawing some right now. butcherbox.com/Howie.
You're listening to the Howie Carr Radio Network.
This hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you in part by the Barley House in Concord and Northampton, New Hampshire, bringing people together for a great time and great food, including fresh ground burgers. Their amazing staff is determined to make your day better. Check out thebarleyhouse.com.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
If you could go back in time and give your younger self advice, what would you say?
Get a state job, because behind the job comes the pension.
What's the best advice anyone's ever given you?
Most advice is pretty forgettable.
What's the best money you've ever spent?
The investment I made to leave the corporate radio prison I was in, the worst people I ever worked for, no doubt about it. I'd probably be dead if I were still working for them.
If you were on a deserted island and you could only bring 3 things, what would you bring?
A radio, a Wi-Fi system, obviously, and a computer, and I would bring some books. Don't ask me which books, too hard a question.
What was your dad's job when you were growing up?
My dad worked as a resort hotel manager. He worked in Florida at the Breakers in the winter, and then he worked at the Mountain View House, as it was called then, in Whitefield, New Hampshire, and various other places. Now's the perfect time to get a pair of premium wireless earbuds, and Raycon is the way to go. Raycon start at about half the price of other premium brands on the market, and they sound just as amazing. And Raycon's everyday E25 earbuds are their best model yet. You get 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, more bass, and a more compact design that gives you a comfortable, noise-isolating fit. Perfect for conference calls, video chats, or binging podcasts. Raycon was founded by Ray J, and celebrities like Cardi B and J.R. Smith have already given Raycons their seal of approval. I love my Raycons, and Grace loves hers, too.
Howie, I love my Raycons. Best birthday gift ever.
I listen to much better music than she does, though.
Hey, that's not true.
Now it's your turn to see what the hype is all about. Go to buyraycon.com/Howie. That's buyraycon.com/Howie. buyraycon.com/Howie.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
Did you have any pets when you were younger?
I had a cat named Dexter. That was my first pet. And then I had possession of 2 poodles when I lived in Palm Beach, Princess and Frisky. They weren't really my dogs, but I took care of them. They lived with me. So they were my dogs. I loved those poodles.
When you were a kid, what was the best gift you ever received?
I got this wooden fort from FAO Schwartz in Palm Beach, about the age of 6 or 7. 10 soldiers to go along with it. Such a cool fort. I had that fort for like maybe close to 10 years.
What is your all-time favorite movie?
Probably Goodfellas. I love Goodfellas. I love it even more than The Godfather.
What is your favorite dessert?
Oh, that's a tough one. Probably chocolate ice cream, followed by vanilla ice cream, followed by coffee ice cream.
This is Jeff in Woodstock, Connecticut.
This is Laura Benner in South Burlington, Vermont.
This is Jimmy Mack in Falmouth, Massachusetts, and this is the Howie Carr Show.
508 says, when I saw that Mr. Frosty commercial, I thought it was a Forrest Gump remake preview. You got to see it. I mean, the audio is great, but the video it's like a parody ad. 844-500-4242, 619. Procured my VIP tickets for August 11th. I live in San Diego and will be vacationing in Maine. Will Taldeval and or Commandant Mills ask for my papers, please? I think you got more to worry about from Commandant Mills than you do from Taldeval.
Your papers, please.
But good luck, and we look forward to seeing you then on August 11th. And by the way, the VIP tickets, you can still get them to come see the show. Go to HowieCarrShow.com, click on store. And we have a special deal going on right now on the books. All books for the next 2 days that you buy at HowieCarrShow.com, click on store, will be autographed. So you can buy as many or as few as you want. Every book that goes out for the next 2 days or is bought in the next 2 days will be autographed. 844-500-4242. Bob, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Bob.
Good afternoon. Thank you for taking my call.
Sure. Thanks for calling.
Good. I just called the inspectional services of Boston to find out if the Red Sox pulled the permit for that 250-foot long Black Lives Matter.
Great idea. What did they say?
The guy said to me, first guy I talked to, he goes, really? I didn't even know they put that up. And then they bounced me around to 3 different people, so I'm just waiting for somebody else to get back to me. But that's.
You know what, Bob? During the top of the hour break, I'm going to call the Herald and see if they can make a call on that. Although it's getting kind of late in the day for City Hall, if you know what I mean. We may have to wait until tomorrow to find out. But that is a really good point. I would think they would need a permit to do something like that. That's a major change. 844-500-4242. Good job. Arthur, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Arthur.
Thanks, Howie. My recommendation to Trump now that he's doing these 5 o'clock things, the press conferences every day,
yes,
so he can stay ahead of the press that's going to turn around and put down everything he's going to do, which they were able to do while he wasn't having them, so he could keep them. And this time he should have people who are pro-open the schools and pro everything he's doing and letting him know. Because when everybody knew what he was doing and he brought out all these private presidents and CEOs of all the companies,
right?
His poll numbers went way up.
Yeah. No, his poll numbers have already gone up a little bit. It's only been a couple of days, and he's already getting a little uptick, I've noticed. I don't live and die by the polls at this time, but they are going up, I noticed. Yeah, I think he's doing a good job. He seems to be a lot more disciplined this time around. He's not getting into the back and forths with these idiots like Jim Acosta and people like that. There was a great Molly Hemingway column today in the Federalist about the latest debunking of that February 2017 story about Trump and Russians were in close collusion. Now it's not only been debunked by the Inspector General, by the Special Counsel, by James Comey. It's now been debunked by Strzok himself. They released his notes, and she went over all the hysteria when the story broke. And it was the first of the big bombshells, and the walls are closing in, and it was just total nonsense. I mean, complete specious reporting. And I'd forgotten this, but somebody said, I think it was John Carl said, you put out a tweet today, Mr. President, and you said that was fake news. Are you saying that story was that news was fake? That story was fake? He said the leaks were real. The news was fake, and that's totally it. I mean, events have proven him to be correct 100%. The leaks were real. Someone leaked lies to them. And 3 of the reporters who worked on that story, that was utterly bogus, 100% false. They got Pulitzer Prizes. They got a Pulitzer Prize for their deeply sourced, reported stories. And I went back and I looked to see if that was one of the stories that was included in the list, and of course it wasn't, because it had been debunked by Comey. He was the first one to point out it was BS. I just can't get over that this is still being promoted by idiots like Biden and the Democrats, the cracks. The cracks. We'll be right back. I'm Howie Carr.
Do you have no water, poor water quality, or low pressure? This is Howie Carr. Call the local water service experts, Skillings & Sons. They're ready with 24-hour service with no extra charge for after-hours calls. And a fleet of trucks stocked with parts to make sure you're not without water. With over 50 years of experience, they take pride in having a family of employees that are the best in the business. For all things water, Skillings & Sons is there for you. SkillingsandSons.com.
Alexander Hamilton said, "Those who stand for nothing will fall for anything." This is Toby from Cape Gunworks. When our founding fathers drafted the Second Amendment, there was no question of its meaning. Today, if you have questions, come to Cape Gunworks for some advice, training, or to send a few rounds downrange. We have a fully stocked pro shop with a huge selection of guns, crossbows, archery, classes, rentals, a 15-lane range, and a friendly staff. Come on down to Cape Gunworks, Airport Road, Hyannis, or capegunworks.com.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
So now you've broken your elbow. Have you ever broken any other bones?
When I was 8 years old, I broke my leg. I was playing touch football in Portland, and a big kid, a 15-year-old, tackled me. When I was in my 30s, I was going down the stairs, and one of the kids' toys was on the stairs, and I tripped on it and broke my foot. I lost a tooth playing touch football when I was just out of Deerfield. I got smacked in the jaw. My tooth went up, and I still have a bridge, a crown from that mishap. I have a replacement hip, and now I have a bunch of pins in my left elbow.
When do you plan to retire?
I don't plan on retiring. As an old football coach once said, once you retire, there's only one big moment left. You know what that is.
He might not be flashy, but he's there when it counts. Here's 1 minute of Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell.
For the first time in my memory, I agree with Nancy Pelosi. I am indeed the Grim Reaper when it comes to the socialist agenda that they've been ginning up over in the House.
You've watched the fight, you've watched the tactics, but here's what I want to tell you. In the very near future, Judge Kavanaugh will be on the United States Supreme Court.
Noted with great interest the Green New Deal, and we're going to be voting on that in the Senate. We'll give everybody an opportunity to go on record and see how they feel about the Green New Deal.
Well, first on the impartiality issue, do you think Chuck Schumer is impartial? Do you think Elizabeth Warren is impartial?
No.
Bernie Sanders is impartial? So let's quit the charade. This is a political exercise.
Nobody is supposed to be guilty until proven innocent in the United States of America.
Look, we're at an impasse. We can't do anything until the Speaker sends the papers over, so everybody enjoy the holidays.
You're listening to the Howie Carr Show.
Here's how it works with my retirement accounts, and I'll bet yours too. If your 401k, your SEP, your IRA, whatever, is going up, you probably don't think very much about it, right? But if it's going down, well, there's nothing much else you can think of. So for the last couple of years, none of us have been worrying much about those quarterly statements. But lately, it's gotten a little worrisome. It's not that bad, not yet anyway, but what goes up must come down. Now is the time to start thinking about adjusting your investments. Gold and silver have always been a hedge against stock market volatility. Uncertainty about the future has traditionally met rising prices for precious metals. Orion Metal Exchange is the only precious metals company I trust. Give Orion a call to get a free, no-obligation investment guide about protecting your future with an enduring investment in gold and silver. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain, including peace of mind, by calling Orion Metal Exchange now. Call them today at 800-912-2300. And with Orion, you'll get more metal for your money. Call 800-912-2300. That's 800-912-2300.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
We went to the White House for the Christmas party. In your opinion, what was the highlight?
The highlight of my trip to the White House with Grace, there were two. Number one, when we walked into Trump International Hotel, which she'd been dreaming of going to, and her eyes were wide. And then when the president actually came down the stairs, her eyes were even wider. She was so in awe of being there. I really felt like King Farouk, you know? I felt like I was giving someone a really great gift. that they couldn't get otherwise.
You've had some really good interviews over the years. Which one was your favorite?
I can't really say what the best interview I ever had, but one that just occurred to me was Jesse Helms, the senator from North Carolina. I interviewed him one time, and he went to high school with my mother in Monroe, North Carolina. And the first words out of his mouth were, "Howie, I know your mother before you knew your mother."
Biden might be the frontrunner for the Democrats, but that isn't stopping him from serving up a whole lot of gaffes. Take a listen.
I believe that the president is literally an existential threat to America for three reasons. One, he is a genuine threat to our... I had permission to hug Lonnie. He says, let's make America great again. Let's make America America again. I think I'm either low IQ or slow, or I don't know what I am. Slow Joe Biden. Thanks for the Mary, and I'm going to be here a lot. I want the press to know she pulled me close. I just want you to know, okay? President Trump inherited an economy from Obama Biden. By the way, he gave me permission to touch him. They can't even figure out how to deal with the fact that they have this great division between the China Sea and the mountains in the West.
You're listening to the Howie Carr Show.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
We went to the White House for the Christmas party. In your opinion, what was the highlight?
The highlight of my trip to the White House with Grace, there were two. Number one, when we walked into Trump International Hotel, which she'd been dreaming of going to, and her eyes were wide. And then when the president actually came down the stairs, her eyes were even wider. She was so in awe of being there. I really felt like King Farouk, I felt like I was giving someone a really great gift that they couldn't get otherwise.
You've had some really good interviews over the years. Which one was your favorite?
I can't really say what the best interview I ever had, but one that just occurred to me was Jesse Helms, the senator from North Carolina. I interviewed him one time, and he went to high school with my mother in Monroe, North Carolina. And the first words out of his mouth were, "Howie, I know your mother before you knew your mother."
Hair loss is not one of life's more enjoyable experiences. If you're looking to fill in your hairline or reverse years of hair loss, DiStefano Hair Restoration will create a result that will be a transformative experience. The result of my IGT procedure was quite remarkable. I now have fuller, thicker hair, so I can even wear it a bit longer. There are a few major decisions I've made in my life that I wish I did sooner. My hair restoration is number one. It was by far one of the best moves I've ever made. My hair looks awesome, and the confidence from having a full head of hair again has left me feeling great. I used to look in the mirror and dreaded seeing my ever-increasing bald spot. Now when I look in the full head of thick hair. For information on how to make the same choice I did, go to hairman.com/Howie. What are you waiting for? More hair to fall out? Get the hair you've always wanted. hairman.com/Howie.
He's the gaff that keeps on giving. Here's 1 minute of former Vice President Joe Biden.
You teachers who touch them, figuratively speaking, well, I hope you touch them and tell them how much you love them too. But my point is, when you touch their hearts, I get in trouble with some of the things I say, but I want to tell you, just be straight up. If I'm your president, with me it starts here in my gut, goes to my heart, and then I articulate it. And by the way, I sit on the stand and it get hot. I got hairy legs that turn blonde in the sun. And the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down so it was straight, and then watch the hair come back up again. 1 point.
Better strap yourself in. It's time for the Howie Carr Show.
Nameless agents riding around in vans, pulling people off the street, depriving them of their constitutional rights. That is not what a democracy looks like. And we are not going to have that in the city of Chicago.
The Department of Justice will immediately surge federal law enforcement to the city of Chicago.
We're moving in lock, stock, and barrel. And I dare you to keep me out!
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
There are meaningful ways that the president could actually help. Instead, it's denigrate divide, and disparage.
Unfortunately, that level of pettiness is causing disaster in the city of Chicago right now. Too many politicians in my city and across this nation find it's easier to pander to the lowest common denominator in our societies as opposed to challenging people to believe and aspire for something greater.
Who's your captain? Howie Carr.
And what President Trump has done, his spreading of racism, the way he deals with people based on the color of their skin, their national origin, where they're from, is absolutely sickening. People don't make a distinction. As you well know, from a South Korean and someone from Beijing, they make no distinction. It's Asian.
You're not Chinese? I thought you were Chinese. She's not Chinese. I was duped.
Unchained and unstoppable.
You know, the cognitive test.
Well, when do you take that?
But usually when there is some issue or some concern about your cognitive abilities.
So, what were the animal shapes?
Well, it's a lion, a hippo, and a camel.
Isn't that a rhino in the middle?
A rhino.
You don't know a rhino
That's a
from
rhino,
an elephant.
sorry, yeah.
One morning, I shot an elephant in my pajamas. How he got in my pajamas, I don't know.
Rump swabs, hacks, and moonbats beware. It's Howie Carr.
I have no problems identifying rhinos. You take the former governor of this state, now he's the senator from Utah, Willard Mitt Romney, rhino. Paul Rhino, the former House Speaker, rhino. Pretty easy to spot rhinos. The Governor Charlie Baker, a.k.a. Parker of Massachusetts, and his bowling ball-like clone from Maryland, Larry Hogan Parker, as we call him. Rhinos, easy to spot. But they're making sport of President Trump because he took the cognitive test, and they're making it sound like nobody takes the cognitive test unless there's a problem. Which of course
they've been asking him to take one for the last 4 years. They talk about him taking cognitive tests every day. Then he finally takes one, and it's like, who takes these things? You nut?
Right. And I still want to see Biden take one. There's no way Biden could perform on one of those tests. And the thing is, a guy like Cuomo, he's the son of a governor, he's the brother of a governor. I mean, he doesn't have to worry. He doesn't have to take the same kind of tests that people do. Like, to get into the trades, you have to take a test.
Yes.
Like that, right?
I don't know if it's an acuity test or what it is, but I remember when my fiance took it, it involved like putting pegs in. They wanted to see basically the same type of thing.
Right.
How your mental sharpness was.
Right.
But I don't think Chris Cuomo has ever applied to be in any sort of trade.
No,
Just
he hasn't. If they asked him to take a test, he would just say, "Do you know who I am?" Have you ever heard who I am? Have you ever heard of a bridge that was once called the Tappan Zee? Right. That's the way. I mean, they don't know anything about it.
He would say, "My ma and my pa." You know how he talks? He's like always talking about his mom's meatballs and his dad. My dad will bash your face in.
If Don Lemon, though, maybe he had a problem identifying the animals in silhouette. But I tell you one thing, he would have no problem identifying in silhouette. The kind of glasses they have behind the bar.
How dare you?
Shot glass, cocktail glass, wine goblet, champagne flute, pint. Just like that.
Here's the thing. We have to describe this a little bit. So he had a sheet, and he held it up for the camera, and it looked like a test that you take in middle school. It did. That's what an acuity test looks like. There's a lot of animals and pictures on it or whatever.
I've taken one.
I'm sure you have, and I'm sure you were sharp as a tack.
Of course I was. I wonder if either of those guys has ever given fingerprints either.
Have you given fingerprints?
Yeah.
I don't think I have.
But I'm just saying that it's the kind of normal, everyday experiences that most Americans have. I wonder if they've ever been bonded.
What does that mean?
That means you have to prove that that you can have that you can do security type work, and because if you steal money, it'll be taken care of. You can be trusted.
Got it. Well, what I was going to say is that the level of arrogance. So if I was going to go on TV and talk about how someone was so ridiculous for having to take a mental acuity test, and I had a test in front of me, and I was about to go on and mock them, I would probably look over the test and say, okay, so let me just make sure I can do this test before I go on and make fun of somebody else. And I would look at it and go, that's a rhino, not a hippo. I would just go through it. But these people are so arrogant, all these anchors, that they don't even go through it. And then they want to call someone else dumb. And it's like, Howie, when I was going to tweet out about how ridiculous somebody was on your account, and I had you proof it first, and you said, Grace, that's not how you spell Rhodes Scholar. If you're going to make fun of someone for not being a Rhodes Scholar, you can't spell Rhodes R-O-A-D-S. It defeats the purpose.
Sounds like it might have been a true story.
No, it was. It happened here. And it's just like, you have to double check these things. You know, Don Lemon should go over the test before he holds it up.
Trump took it when he got his physical, right? That was with Dr. Ronnie Jackson, who just won the Republican primary. He's going to be in the House of Representatives next year. That bothered me last week. I never brought it up. I think I would rather be a physician than a member of Congress. You might have to work a little harder as a physician, but don't you think the average MD gets a little more respect than a member of Congress?
Definitely.
How many years of school does it take to be a voter registration physician?
It's about the same as a pay caregiver. Pay caregiver. Those were the two new job classifications that Joe Biden invented this week. Okay, can we play just one Joe Biden cut before we begin?
Go ahead.
This is Joe Biden rambling incoherently yesterday. Cut 3.
That's the essence of my whole notion dealing with. You're trying to tell me I'm supposed to stop, but there's more to say here.
Cut 4.
Fourth, you need premium pay. Congress has to pass a comprehensive premium pay plan that honors your heroism now, not yesterday. We needed yesterday. I unveiled a plan to strengthen our caring economy.
It's really sad. It's just not good. I think people think you're being flippant if you say that he has some sort of form of early Alzheimer's, but we're really saying it genuinely. It sounds like someone who's really slipping very fast. Just from the beginning of when he started to now.
Well, now he's starting to yell. You know, he
and that's a bad
and then
sign.
the guy in the white coat has to step in and say, "Hey, that's the end of the interview."
Yes, please stop yelling. Someone make him calm down.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Sick. They pointed out that if he had listened to me and others and acted just 1 week earlier to deal with this virus, there'd be 36,000 fewer people dead.
Sick. But Mr. Vice President, with all due respect to those 36,000 lives that could have been saved, you've told us that there have been 120 million people have died. I mean, in the larger context of the 120 million dead you've told us about, is 36,000 is like a rounding error.
The numbers are evolving in Joe Biden's world.
That's
it's
right.
really amazing. Howie, I want to talk a little bit about Ghislaine Maxwell because a little piece of breaking news came out today. A judge is to unseal records tied to Ghislaine Maxwell's civil suit. This might include a 2015 deposition from Jeffrey Epstein's former cohort that could provide insight into their extraordinary life of wealth, power, and privilege. Could also have a lot of giggity goo information.
I was going to say wealth, privilege, and perversion.
Yeah. And some people are saying that they're going to appeal this, that they don't want it to come out, obviously, and then it's not going to. But, I have a question, Howie. So in a case like this, you're supposed to be granted a fair trial, right? And a jury that's going to judge you, based up. How does she get that at this point? I'm not saying that I want her to not be guilty, but I'm just saying.
You can always find 12 people.
That don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
Damn. People live under rocks. Imagine not ever.
Or they say.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. In other news, Bill Gates says multiple vaccine doses may be necessary to protect people from coronavirus. He told this to CBS News last night.
How are they going to get people to take one? That's my recurring question. How are you going to get people to take one shot, let alone multiple shots?
I mean, if they offered some sort of incentive besides the vaccine, then I think people might take it. But I don't think you can pay people to take your vaccine, right?
We follow the stats here in Massachusetts. The number today of victims of coronavirus under the age of 20 Zero. That's zero today and zero for the whole pandemic. For the age group under the age of 50, that's several age groups, obviously. Under the age of 50, that's a majority of people in this state and every other state, 137. No one has died under the age of 50 in at least 8 days. But they're still treating it like it's the end of the world.
Yeah.
Although Dr. Fauci has somehow found time to throw out the first pitch tonight.
That should be our poll question. Is he going to make it over the home plate? Because that's hard. George H.W. Bush didn't make it when he tried.
Will he be booed tonight? No. You know why? Because there's not going to be there's not going to be a crowd. There's not going to be anyone there.
If it bounces, that will tell you a lot. If it bounces, he must be nervous though. I would be nervous. You ever see that documentary about George Bush when he was throwing it after 9/11 and how nervous he was to get it over home plate? He was like, I got to get it over. And he's a pretty athletic guy. I'm going to be watching, Fauci. I'm going to be watching.
Despite what everybody says, I always got it over the plate.
I'm sure you did, Howie.
It came in kind of slow sometimes, but I always got it over the plate at Hadlock Field in Portland, Maine. If you're thinking of replacing your carpets due to pet stains and odors, you must try Genesis 950 first. It breaks down the bonds of stains and odors so they're gone from carpets and padding for good. You can see it in you can use it in a carpet cleaning machine, and it's green, so it's safe for family and pets. It's the go-to cleaner for when Mr. Gooner has an accident, as older pugs often do. I also use it to clean my stove when I'm frying up some Butcher Box free-range chicken. Before you purchase new carpeting, you must try Genesis 950. 1 gallon of industrial-strength Genesis 950 makes up to 7 gallons of cleaner, and it's not just for pet stains. It's a disinfectant that kills viruses. It's also great for kitchens, garages, grease stains, wheels, tires, and more. Save yourself the trouble of going to the store and seeing your favorite cleaner sold out again. Genesis 950 is made in America, and as we like to say, buy American, support America. Order a gallon direct at genesis950.com. Enter code Howie and get free shipping. You will also get a free spray bottle. This is a $10 value. That's genesis950.com. Enter code Howie. Hope we don't have to use it tonight after Gooner comes into the studio.
That's the thing about Gooner. She knows what she wants to do. So if she has her mindset, you can't buy a new carpet. She's got to find a spot on the new carpet as well.
VIPs are very excited they're going to meet Gooner tonight. I'm Howie Carr.
The paper boy with a big microphone. Howie Carr.
This half hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you in part by Roman. Talking about erectile dysfunction isn't easy. Go to getroman.com/Howie to get a free online visit and free 2-day shipping.
I'm the Vice President of the United States.
Love him or hate him, Joe Biden's here for the long haul. But we can't get enough of his gaffes. Here's the best of Uncle Joe's speaking before he thinks.
We choose truth over facts. When the stock market crashed, Franklin Roosevelt got on television. Make sure you have the record player on at night. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids. Okay, look, all right. Look, well, you can frack with me later, okay? The teachers are retired. I'm married to a teacher. My deceased wife is a teacher. And Corn Pop was a bad dude. I can tell you, and I've known 8 presidents. 3 of the minimum. If you agree with me, go to Joe 30330 and help me. Had over 40 kids shot at Kent State on a beautiful lawn. I love this place. Look, what's not to like about Vermont in terms of the beauty of it? I said something that was not meant the way I said. I mean, what is it that I said wrong? I want to be clear. I'm not going nuts. Anyway, my time's up. I'm sorry.
We all shop online, and now you could do it a better way with Honey. Honey is the free online shopping tool that automatically finds the best promo codes and applies them to your cart. Just download Honey to your computer and shop on all your favorite websites like normal. When you check out, just click the Apply Coupons button that pops up. Wait a few seconds for Honey to scan its database of all the working coupons on the web. then watch your price drop. Honey works on nearly every online store, including Walmart, Target, Home Depot, Macy's, Etsy, and more. And Honey has found over $2 billion in savings for its users. That's why it has over 100,000 five-star reviews on the Google Chrome store. It's 100% free to use and installs in seconds. Plus, it's backed by PayPal, so you know it's secure and reliable. Not using Honey is literally passing up free money. So get Honey for free today at joinhoney.com/Howie. That's joinhoney.com/Howie.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
How did you come up with the name VB?
My first producer and I both had steady girlfriends, or we were married or whatever. And VB was always saying that we were whipped, if you know what I mean. Finally, I said, you don't even have a girlfriend. I've never seen you with a female. As a matter of fact, I don't think you have ever had sex. You are just a virgin boy.
What is your biggest fear?
That Donald Trump will not be reelected in 2020 and that some horrible Democrat will come in and finish off the destruction of this once great country.
Out of all of your daughters, who is the least like you and why?
Probably Charlotte, even though we went to the same high school, Deerfield Academy. She has a different sense of her responsibilities than I do. Let me put it that way. She has a different regard for money. She's not a cheap bastard, in other words.
This is Chris in Rochester, Mass.
This is Mark in Nashville, New Hampshire.
This is Lorna in Truckstown, Pennsylvania. And this is the Howie Carr Show.
844-500-4242. That's the toll-free number of the Howie Carr Show. Talking about erectile dysfunction isn't easy. Good thing Roman makes treating erectile dysfunction simple, safe, and from the comfort of your own home. Get a free online evaluation today at getroman.com/Howie. If approved, you'll get $15 off your first order of ED treatment. getroman.com/Howie. Taylor, what's the poll question? What are the results thus far?
Will you be following Major League Baseball this year?
No, I will not.
91% say no.
Yeah. It's just not. I would say it's not what it used to be, but I don't really remember a time where it was that interesting. But I'm sure, some people like it.
A 60-game season. Come on.
Ugh. Guys, I wanted to let everyone know that Grace's News is brought to you by a special deal we are running on the Howie Carr Show store. Howie, for 2 days only, if you buy a book, he will autograph it. He will sign the copy. That is any book. We usually pick specific books because it does take a lot out of you to sign all different books. But for 2 days only, we are running this deal. Go to HowieCarrshow.com. And Taylor, is it on a banner on the website, or should they can just click on the store, and that's
any book? Yeah, just click store, any book order.
Awesome. Okay, guys, Mike Tyson will be making a stunning boxing comeback.
Oh, it's going to be boxing?
Yeah. This is a blast from the past. With Roy Jones Jr., the 54-year-old boxing legend will fight Roy Jones Jr. in an 8-round exhibition, according to Yahoo Sports. The fight will take place on September 12th. How are they going to social distance? Don't you have to be pretty close to box? It's definitely not going to be 6 feet.
So normally a heavyweight championship fight would be 15 rounds, and they're going to go 8 rounds. So they're going to play. Baseball isn't even making it to 81 games, which would be half the season.
Right.
So they should only go about 6 rounds, I think, to follow in the steps of Major League Baseball.
He's 54 years old. I can't imagine he'd want to go much more than that. That's pretty old for boxing. When your brain's rattling around in there, kind of scary. There's a new poll out that says 62% of Americans say they have political views they're afraid to share. So just keep this in mind. A lot of polls are coming out now. A lot of them are saying that Joe Biden has this tremendous lead over Trump. Rasmussen came out with one today that kind of...
neck and neck.
Yeah, it's actually a lot closer than people might think. But this is a huge part of it. A lot of people don't want to tell, surveyors or poll takers what their actual views are. Because think about it. You don't want to say it to your neighbor or whatever because you're afraid, they're going to be offended. So why would you say it to a random person on the telephone? You're not getting anything out of it.
Why do you think contact tracing didn't work?
People don't
in Massachusetts because people realized that it was going to be used against them.
I had a person email me today about something for the show, and then he wrote back and said, "Don't reply to this email. I don't trust Google." And I was thinking to myself, man, anything Google wants to get, they're going to get. And it's kind of like that with anything. Everything's out there now. But I don't think if a pollster called me up and said, "Are you going to vote for Donald Trump?" I'd be like, whatever.
No.
Because then who knows if that information leaks? And if you run a corporation, then all of a sudden it comes out, Mr. Smith supports Donald Trump, then your business is out.
Well, yeah, look at the people who have gotten into trouble just because they've the moonbats have gone onto the FEC records and found out that they were giving money to Trump, and then they dox you.
Then you have to apologize.
Right.
You have to say, I don't agree with what he believes in. Right. And I'm very sorry. And then people don't even forgive you. They don't want an apology. They just want you to.
And then they try to frame you. From Donald Trump right on down to those lawyers in St. Louis.
It's the American way.
We'll get into that, by the way.
So AOC and Representative Yoho are still going at it. She went on the floor of the House today and basically said that
she wouldn't accept the apology.
She would not accept the apology.
He called her a bleep and bleep.
He called her a bleeping bleep. We cannot say either of the words. They are not nice. And she basically said, he talks about having daughters and a wife, and I'm someone's daughter, and I kind of agree with her. Like, we have to get to a point where he looks like a Looney Tune now, screaming at someone that she's a bleeping bleep.
And she doesn't look like a Looney Tune? Have you forgotten the Green New Deal?
She is a Looney Tune. We all know that, but there's no reason to, get in the mudslinging with her and call her that. I mean, I think in this situation, she actually looks better than he does, which is everyone just needs to take a deep breath.
What she needs to do is to bring that French bulldog puppy to work with her every day. And then when somebody calls her a bleep and bleep, I don't know.
Gecko. So fabulous. So we can play a little bit of that. This is cut 18.
I walked back out, and there were reporters in the front of the Capitol. And in front of reporters, Representative Yoho called me, and I quote, a bitch. These are the words that Representative Yoho levied.
Levied? I'm Howie Carr. The last few months have been a blur for all of us. I can hardly believe it's already summer. The folks at DiStefano Hair Restoration just launched their annual summer special, and this year it truly is an amazing deal. They are offering transplants starting at only $5,000. This is an amazing opportunity for anyone who has been thinking about hair restoration to take advantage of the lowest price hair transplants in New England. This is a limited time offer with only 50 spots available, so act quickly. Dr. Highness did a great job for me, and he will do the same for you too. DiStefano Hair Restoration is open for business. To learn more, go to hairman.com/Howie. You may have more time on your hands now, so take advantage of it and get the hair you've been wanting for years. People always stop me and say, it looks so natural. You can also see my before and after pictures on the website. DiStefano Hair Restoration has 5 locations in New England and is open for business. For more information on location openings, go to hairman.com/Howie. Get back your confidence and get the hair you've always wanted.
There are plenty of differences between Trump and the Democrats running for 2020, but the main one is Trump's pretty funny. Take a listen.
What advice would you give to the 25-year-old Donald Trump knowing what you know today?
Don't run for president. I'm not a drinker. I can honestly say I never had a beer in my life, okay? It's one of my only good traits. I don't drink. Whenever they're looking for something good, I say, I never had a glass of alcohol. I've never had alcohol. Can you imagine if I had? What a mess I'd be. I'd be the world's worst. Other countries, big countries, India and others, we had to pay because they considered them a growing country. They were a growing country. So what are we? Are we allowed to grow too? Okay. No, are we allowed to grow? I try like hell to hide that bald spot, folks. I work harder. Doesn't look bad. Hey, we're hanging in. I should have saved the Pocahontas thing for another year. Because I've destroyed her political career, and now I won't get a chance to run against her, and I would have loved it. I don't want to knock out all of the good stuff and end up with somebody that's actually got talent. That would be terrible.
Here's how it works with my retirement accounts, and I'll bet yours too. If your 401k, your SEP, your IRA, whatever, is going up, you probably don't think very much about it, right? But if it's going down, well, there's nothing much else you can think of. So for the last couple of years, none of us have been worrying much about those quarterly statements. But lately, it's gotten a little worrisome. It's not that bad, not yet anyway, but what goes up must come down. Now is the time to start thinking about adjusting your investments. Gold and silver have always been a hedge against stock market volatility. Uncertainty about the future has traditionally met rising prices for precious metals. Orion Metal Exchange is the only precious metals company I trust. Give Orion a call to get a free, no-obligation investment guide about protecting your future with an enduring investment in gold and silver. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain, including peace of mind, by calling Orion Metal Exchange now. Call them today at 800-912-2300. And with Orion, you'll get more metal for your money. Call 800-912-2300. That's 800-912-2300.
It's time for quarantine questions. You're up, Jared. What have you been eating the most during this quarantine?
I've been eating a lot of Indian food because that's all that's in the machine downstairs, and I'm really growing to like it.
What is your drink of choice during the lockdown?
My drink of choice, I'm definitely a Scotch guy. A nice Dewar's really does it for me.
What about a non-alcoholic drink?
Coffee.
What one TV show would you recommend to people who are quarantining right now?
One show? Star Trek The Next Generation. You can't go wrong. It's got everything you want. It's got high-concept science fiction. It's got humanity. It's got great characters. It's the last truly great television show.
What is the biggest pet peeve about being at home?
I can see all the dirt that I don't clean, and it mocks me.
What is the biggest silver lining of staying at home?
I'd say wearing sweatpants, but I do that most of the time anyway. I'll say wearing my Spider-Man costume and not being judged.
What's one book you're loving right now?
I'm a big comic book guy, so I'm reading a lot of comic books. Right now, I'm going back over the classic Stan Lee, Steve Ditko Amazing Spider-Man run, about the first 40 issues.
Joe Biden doesn't have time for malarkey, and he also doesn't have a lot of time for geography. Take a listen.
The people of Nevada are watching, and I'm going to be out there seeing them very soon. Tonight, though, we just heard from the first 2 of 50 states. It's important that Iowa and Nevada have spoken, but look, we need to hear from Nevada and South Carolina and Super Tuesday states and beyond.
And Biden doesn't know the difference between Iran and Iraq. He's gotten it wrong 4 times.
We tried it in Iraq. It's not working, so now we're going to try, in Iran. Excuse me. We tried in Ukraine.
He always gets the name wrong.
I love this place. Look, what's not to like about Vermont in terms of the beauty of it? And what a neat town. This is sort of a scenic, beautiful town. I like Keene a lot.
How many times has he missed it? He's in Iowa. He says, great to be in the great state of Ohio. And they say, Joe, you're in Iowa.
How many unsafe bridges you still have here in the state of Iowa? And I was just in Ohio because they have more.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
844-500-4242. Michelle Malkin is a well-known author and commentator. She lives in Colorado. We've had her on the show many times, and I've a great amount of respect for her. She's a great reporter. And she was at a pro-police rally in the city of Denver on Sunday, and the rally was aborted when it was attacked by an Antifa group. That there were so many of them, they outnumbered the actual pro-police rally organizers who had a permit and were legally permitted to take part in this event. And the police apparently were under orders to just stand down and let these terrorists attack law-abiding citizens, including Michelle Malkin and the Republican minority leader of the Colorado House of Representatives, and various assorted other families and taxpayers, etc. So joining us now on the line is Michelle Malkin from Colorado. Michelle, I'm sorry what happened to you. Why don't you tell people about it, because there hasn't been much mention of this on any of the national newscasts, has there?
No. So thanks for having me, Howie. A lot of the corporate media doesn't want to talk about not only how violent the so-called peaceful protesters are, but how willingly the city leaders in many of these hellholes across the country are cooperating with them. to conspire against law-abiding people who support the police. And I think that's really what's most disgusting about all of this, and it's my warning. It's an object lesson to good-hearted citizens out there who want to try and do the same thing. It was a Sunday morning. It was sunny, beautiful. A lot of people were able to come after church to downtown Denver and gather at the Center Civic Plaza, sort of a central gathering area. And the organizers had this event 5 previous times without any kind of incident. But there were inklings that it could have been a dangerous situation. And one of them was that the governor of our state refused, after 5 previous times of other governors doing it, refused to sign a proclamation, just a nice sort of celebratory thing, perfunctory thing that governors do. Yes, we declare this Law Enforcement Appreciation Day. Well, he refused to do it. And, of course, just like every other city, we've been under siege for the last 2 months. Our downtown is a complete piece of trash. $1 million worth of damage has been done by these animals tearing down statues, painting graffiti all over the historic buildings, ACAB, all of the epithets against the cops, epithets against the pigs, all of this kind of thing. None of it's been cleaned up over the course of almost 60 days now. And these counter-protesters, that's a wrong word, rioters, had gathered unpermitted at the state capitol an hour before our permitted event was to begin. And they declared their intention. They were going to shut us down. And the police chief, who, like many police chiefs, is a coddler of Black Lives Matter, had marched arm in arm with them about a month ago, basically said, you know what, you might want to rethink your event because we can't guarantee your safety.
So you were legally permitted to have your event. They weren't, but the police chief told you to give in to the people who were about to violate the law. Yeah, that's exactly right. And as part of our permit conditions, the organizers were told, well, you have to supply your own private security. Well, our private security can't use arms the same way that police can. And you know what happens to the private citizens if they do exercise their Second Amendment rights? Well, they face prosecution by Soros DAs all over the country because Soros DAs and Soros police chiefs and, unfortunately, the officers that follow their commands have chosen sides. They've chosen the sides of the criminal and the mob and the agitator, and they've chosen sides against people like us that support them. And so what happened was a Denver Police Union president yesterday apologized to me and all of the attendees publicly on air, on the local airwaves here, and revealed that, in fact, confirmed that, in fact, a stand-down order, what they call a retreat order, had been issued by the incident commander, who has now been who has not been named yet, to basically stand there and watch while our people were beaten with longboards and bullhorns and other unidentified objects. Have there been any arrests of these Antifa terrorists?
There's only been one arrest, and it was such a blatant violation, criminal violation. One of the women, who was a MAGA Trump supporter, law enforcement supporter, was throttled and strangled by another of the Antifa women. And by the way, I have a 36-minute live stream of the whole thing as it unfolded. And within inches of me was a black-clad woman who took out her collapsible baton and wielded it in front of me. No police intervention there. Many of these asps have to be registered like other weapons and other arms. But they're allowed to openly carry them and, do a slow march. You said it was like an abortion. It certainly was, Howie. It was like a slow-motion abortion, though, because it took about 5 to 7 minutes for these people to obstruct traffic and make their way from the Capitol 3 blocks to where we were. And there were maybe, 10 police that separated the 200 of us from the 1,000 members of the mob who bum-rushed the stage, pushed me and shoved me aside, and then beat bloody several people, both on stage and off.
Yeah, I read that you said that several people had to go to the emergency room. They had gashes in their heads?
Yes, correct. We still don't have a full accounting of how many people were harmed, but I will tell you at this point that they are all considering their legal options, and key among them, of course, is a civil lawsuit, not just a criminal action. The deck is stacked here, of course. I've already filed a public records request for all communications regarding the so-called stand-down order. You think they're going to hand that stuff over willingly? No.
Well, they've only got, I looked at it, Massachusetts law is different than Colorado law. They only have 3 days to respond to your request. I mean, so that's pretty much the end of business tomorrow, right? Yeah, you're not going to get anything like that. Who do you blame? Do you blame the mayor?
Lawyer that has, yes.
Do you blame the mayor or the governor or the police commissioner? Who do you blame for what happened?
Well, we at least know, of course, that the police chief has declared which side he's on by linking arms with BLM. But the mayor has just signed a letter with 13 other mayors objecting to President Trump sending federal agents in to help get control of this chaos. So he's chosen sides. And our governor, who has a place right there in the governor's mansion in the Capitol, has looked the other way at all of this. Silence is complicity, as the left says.
Well, now he's been the governor for a while. Did he sign the proclamation declaring this police? He signed it in the past, but now correct. When the police are needed more than ever, he takes a walk.
Yeah, that's right. Well, this is a condition that I described and has been described previously as anarcho-tyranny, where you've got these tyrants in office who impose regulations and enforce them selectively against people who oppose their agenda, who are a threat to their agenda. And what is the agenda? It's the Soros agenda, it's the globalist agenda. Black Lives Matter and Antifa are basically paramilitary forces for these elites who want to subjugate the rest of us to remake and reimagine America.
I don't see the upside to letting groups like Antifa control the centers of these cities that were once nice places to live, whether it's Portland, Oregon, or Minneapolis, or Denver. I mean, how is this good for anybody who lives in these cities to have these mobs running amok downtown?
Yeah, well, the elites don't care. They're in gated communities. They have private security, or they have police officers who secure their safety. They live in enclaves themselves. They don't have to suffer the consequences of their decisions.
Wow. So where do people go if they want to see the video of the 36 minutes in Denver?
Yeah. So right now it is on my Twitter feed, and of course all of our Twitter feeds are being throttled if you're a Trump supporter or you're a conservative. But go to twitter.com, Michelle Malkin, type in the hashtag #BackTheBlueRally. You can see the whole thing. You can also go to my YouTube channel and see some of the isolated clips where these women particularly attack us. That's of interest, of course, to people that are your listeners who might be holding these rallies. And my bottom line lesson on this, Howie, is be prepared. Be prepared. People chastise me for wearing sandals and hoop earrings and a nice dress to address this family-friendly crowd. I've learned. Next time I'm showing up in combat boots.
If it makes you feel any better, Michelle, the police departments all across the country are being told to stand down. I mean, we had riots in Boston on May 31st, right after the event with George Floyd, and they didn't even call out the entire police force. After they ran amok and looted across downtown Boston and actually fired bullets at some of the cops, they brought them out. They mobilized the entire Boston Police Department the next night, and but it was letting the horse was already out of the barn. And look at what happened in New York. They stood by while these mobs outside City Hall were attacking a New York Post reporter and shouting the most obscene chants imaginable at the female police officers. They finally busted them up. But it's just
my heart goes out. My heart goes out to the rank and file. That's why I've been doing these types of rallies for 20, 25 years now. They've got their hands tied behind their backs. They've got gags on their mouths. They're threatened if they tell the truth, and they may lose their jobs and their pensions if they risk defying these social justice police chiefs. But at some point, they've got to make a decision, just like the rest of us. We're all on our own if we're not together.
Yeah. I think a lot of them are making the decision, and the decision is to file for retirement. And I can't say as I blame them.
Yeah, blue flu, for sure.
All right. Michelle Malkin, always a pleasure to talk to you. I'm sorry you had to go through this, but, maybe did the local media ever get interested in this at all in Denver?
Ha! absolutely not. They are adjuncts of BLM and Antifa, and this is another reason why talk radio is so important, because you're the last bastion of reflecting how the people really truly feel about this. So I appreciate you so much, Howie.
Thank you. You know, there was you and I come out of the newspaper industry, Michelle. It's at least when Denver had two newspapers, the Rocky Mountain News and the Denver Post. There would have at least been a chance to get a little balanced coverage. But now there's no chance whatsoever. So it's unfortunate. It's really terrible what's happened to local news, in addition to what's happened to national news. Thanks a lot, Michelle. I appreciate you being with us. That's Michelle Malkin. Talking about erectile dysfunction isn't easy. Usually we just brush it off or blame ourselves, saying things like, I lost my mojo. Or we avoid it altogether with excuses like, I had a long day at work. Or, sorry, honey, I'm just not feeling it. With Roman, it is easy to talk about it, though, with a real doctor who can prescribe real medication. It's simple, safe, and totally discreet. And now more than ever, the ease with which you can get your appointment with a physician counts for more than ever. It's still hard to get into a medical clinic or a hospital with all the rules and regulations. You don't want to have to go to a pharmacy and pick up your prescription. With Roman, though, you can get a free online evaluation and ongoing care for erectile dysfunction, all from the comfort and privacy of your home. The doctor will work with you to find the best treatment plan. If medication is appropriate, Roman will ship it to you with free 2-day shipping. The whole process is straightforward, simple, and discreet. Getting started is simple. Just go to GetRoman.com/Howie and complete an online visit. Erectile dysfunction used to be tough to tackle, but now there's Roman. Complete an online visit today to connect with a doctor and take care of it. Go to GetRoman.com/Howie today. If approved, you'll get $15 off your first order of erectile dysfunction treatment. That's GetRoman.com/Howie. GetRoman.com/Howie. I'm Howie Carr.
A nightmare to liberals everywhere. He's Howie Carr.
This hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you in part by Folensby Inn of North Sutton, New Hampshire. Just 90 minutes from Boston on the shores of pristine Kezar Lake. Perfect for year-round relaxation. Book your stay at FolensbyInn.com.
And now, some of my favorite fake Indian cuts of all time.
I'm not going to ask you for your favorite curse word. Actually, I am. Do you have a favorite curse word?
Poop.
Poop? Oh, that's a goody two-shoes favorite curse word if I ever heard one.
Are you kidding? Have you ever seen a woman like me look you straight in the face after you finished some long explanation of something and then just said, poop? Hold on a sec. I'm going to get me a beer.
I am not sure what she's talking about as far as a rally with.
It was a rally in Bern, Oregon, is that you have to figure out who you are. I grew up in a family that was barely hanging on to the ragged edge of the middle class. And my Aunt Bee has walked by that picture at least 1,000 times, remarked that her father, my papa, had high cheekbones like all of the Indians do.
With all the uncertainty in the world, feeling safe at home has never been more important. It's why I want to talk to you about Simply Safe Home Security. They're longtime friends of the Howie Carr Show, and for good reason. Simply Safe has made it easy to finally get comprehensive protection for your home. There's no technician or salesperson that needs to come and disrupt your house. You don't need to pay any outrageous monthly fees or sign a 2-year contract. You just order online, set it up yourself in under an hour, and your home is protected 24/7 with emergency dispatch for break-ins, fire, and more. All for just 50 cents a day. And we're not the only fans of Simply Safe. U.S. News and World Report named Simply Safe Best Overall Home Security of 2020. Go to simplysafehowie.com to try it out for yourself. That's simplysafehowie.com to make sure they know that our show sent you. That's simplysafehowie.com.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
If Mr. Gooner was a person, what college would she attend?
The U.S. Coast Guard Academy.
Is Mr. Gooner a conservative or a Democrat?
Mr. Gooner is a fiscal conservative and a social liberal.
If you could have dinner with any president, dead or alive, who would it be?
Calvin Coolidge. He was from Massachusetts, and I liked his attitude towards public sector unions. And he said the business of America is business. He's my guy.
Other than yourself, which columnist do you respect the most?
The late George Fraser, he was a columnist for the Boston Herald, the Boston Globe. Most people have forgotten him now. Jimmy Cannon was pretty good. He was so good that Mike Barnacle used to steal stuff from him all the time. Breslin was good in his early days, not so good later on, but when he was working for the Herald Tribune back when I was a kid in New York, he was damn good.
This is Karen from Billerica, Massachusetts.
This is Adrian in Swanton, Vermont.
This is Miss Susan up in Warner, New Hampshire. And this is the Howie Carr Show.
So if the Trump administration tries to send federal law enforcement in, we will see them in court, and we will beat them in court because, again, the Constitution honors the rights of localities to make their own decisions about safety. The federal government doesn't run our police. Cities run their police force.
Yeah, but you're not running it. See, that's the problem. You're letting these people take control of the streets, and it's mob control. I mean, you have a choice. You can be a nation of laws or a nation of men, and if you're letting men have control rather than the laws, it's just going to be the most powerful men, and the men will congregate in mobs, and that's what happened in Denver on Monday, and that's what happened in cities across the country. That's what's happened in Portland, Oregon for the last 50 plus nights in a row. Everything is totally out of control. And you know what happens, Mayor de Blasio? Everyone is going to flee. Just as they're fleeing New York City, they're trying to get out. They're getting out to the suburbs, Westchester County, to Long Island. If they have a vacation home on the islands in Massachusetts or Cape Cod or the Catskills, they're getting out. They're fleeing to Florida, where there are no taxes, or Tennessee or Texas, where there are no income taxes. They're not going to stick around. People vote with their feet, and that's what's going to happen in New York City. If you thought there was an exodus of the middle class in the John Lindsay, Abe Beam years in the 60s and 70s, it's going to be nothing compared to what's happening now. 844-500-4242. Let's play some Joe Biden sound, which we didn't get to. We got too late yesterday, but there was some weird stuff. He's talking about his time at Walter Reed Hospital when he had an aneurysm, and he couldn't. First of all, he couldn't remember what was wrong with him, why he was in Walter Reed Hospital. Cut 5.
And I was hospitalized for a while, a long time ago, with an aneurysm,
like to see him take that cognitive test. And then he was talking about what the nurses did for him when he was at Walter Reed. Cut 2.
And I had a nurse nurses at Walter Reed Hospital who would bend down and whisper in my ear. Wow. And go home and get me pillows. They would make sure they'd actually, probably nothing ever taught in, you can't do it in the COVID time, but they'd actually breathe in my nostrils to make me move, to get me moving.
They would breathe in my nostrils to get me moving. I am not a physician. I don't even play one on TV, but I'm not familiar with that regimen of treatment. I don't know what he's talking about. 844-500-4242. The big surge in coronavirus deaths is a media-fed myth. This was an Issues and Insights editorial board yesterday. The mainstream press are grossly misleading the public by misreporting the death counts. Here's a typical report from USA Today a few days ago. As the outburst continues to surge, as opposed to spiking and skyrocketing, across the southern states, Florida, Texas, and South Carolina set records for new daily deaths. ABC News reported 19 states set single-day records for the most cases this week, et cetera, et cetera. And then it goes on and on. Actually, the story of deaths in Arizona is particularly illuminating. Arizona actually lists only 3 deaths on July 19th. What's more, the chart shows that there hasn't been a single day in the state where deaths exceeded 65. So where did this scary number that NPR cited of 147 come from? The same place all the other surging numbers come from. Each day, Arizona and the other states file reports on how many people have died from COVID-19. It's not a measure of how many died that day. In most cases, the people died days or even weeks earlier. In fact, in Arizona's case, 106 of the reported deaths last Saturday resulted from a periodic review of death certificates. None of those caveats made it into the PBS story. It didn't feed into the panic porn narrative. That's why. I'm Howie Carr.
I'm Kevin O'Connor, and I'm running for United States Senate. Recently, I met with a group of cops, good people. They're upset, tired, and frustrated. Why? Our Washington politicians embrace the defund the police movement. How foolish. Let's honor our brave men and women in blue. I say defend the police. As a husband and as a dad, I know this. Our families want safe communities. On September 1st, vote for me for U.S. Senate. I'm Kevin O'Connor, and I approve this message. Paid for by Kevin O'Connor for U.S. Senate.
It has been a long lockdown this spring, but the weather is warming up, and now is a perfect time to take off for some fun on beautiful Nantucket. Southern Airways' new Island Hopper flights from Boston, Norwood, Providence, and now Hyannis can get you to Nantucket in less than the time it takes to go through TSA at Logan. Forget traffic, long ferry rides, and Logan's hassles and high fares. I've flown Southern, and you will love their service. Book today at iflysouthern.com. That's iflysouthern.com.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
Out of all of your books, which is your favorite title and why?
I think my favorite title is Hitman because it's very effective. I thought long and hard about it. We're going to make it Boston Hitman, but then why make it Boston Hitman? Just make it Hitman. Make it a universal subject.
If you could have dinner with one author, dead or alive, who would it be?
I would probably have dinner with William Shakespeare. I know that's a cliche response, but he was the greatest writer in the English language, no question about it.
If you won Mega Millions, would you retire completely?
I used to say no, I would not retire, but yeah, I think I would retire now.
If you had to leave all of your money to one charity, which would it be?
The Salvation Army. I like what the Salvation Army does. I don't think they have too many highly paid executives trying to be social justice warriors.
Jim Acosta, without a doubt, wins the competition for Trump's least favorite journalist of all time. Let's listen to some of their feistier moments.
I'll tell you what, CNN should be ashamed of itself having you working for them. You are a rude, terrible person. You shouldn't be working for CNN. Should I let him have a little bit more? What do you think, Peter? Peter, should I let him have a little bit more? Sit down. I'm changing it from fake news, though.
Doesn't that undermine...
Very fake news.
I know, but aren't you...
When I raise money... Excuse me. I've watched you on television. You're a real beauty. Honestly, I think you should let me run the country. You run CNN. All right. And if you did it well, your ratings would be much better.
If I may ask one other question. Mr. President, if I may ask one other question, are you worried...
That's enough. That's enough.
Mr. President, what do you say to your critics who say that you're concocting a national emergency here in order to get your wall because you couldn't get it through other ways?
What do you think? Do you think I'm creating something? Ask these incredible women who lost their daughters and their sons, because your question is a very political question, because you have an agenda. You're CNN. You're fake news.
You're listening to the Howie Carr Show.
You've been hearing me talk about Super Beets for a while now, and I'm sure some of you are still thinking, why Super Beets? You could take it from me. The benefits of Super Beets are incredible. I take them twice a day. Once in the morning when I get up, even before I have my first cup of coffee, and the other time in the afternoon, right before the show. It gives me a burst of energy. It's great for my blood pressure. It's good for circulation. It just makes you feel better. If that doesn't convince you, we can talk about the science behind Super Beets. Beets have nitrates. Nitrates support better blood flow, and better blood flow equals better energy and efficiency throughout the body, and even supports healthy blood pressure. But Super Beets does so much more than eating regular beets and is unparalleled compared to other beet powders. Just one scoop of Super Beets has the nitric oxide equivalent of 3 whole beets. Go to superbeetsradio.com/Howie and try out Super Beets yourself. www.superbeetsradio.com/Howie. www.superbeetsradio.com/Howie.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
Who was your favorite actor?
Humphrey Bogart, no doubt about it. I love all the old Humphrey Bogart movies. Jimmy Cagney would be a close second.
Do you have a celebrity crush?
No celebrity crushes.
Ginger or Marianne?
I always was a Marianne person. Never was bowled over by that Hollywood look. Plus, Ginger was in more revealing attire, scantily clad.
Salty or sweet?
Neither, but if I have to pick, I'll go with sweet.
Movies or TV?
TV.
McDonald's or Burger King?
McDonald's, although I'd prefer Five Guys.
Facebook or Twitter?
Definitely Twitter. I hate Facebook.
Cake or pie?
I'm a cake guy.
Coke or Pepsi?
Diet Coke.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee, obviously.
Winter or summer?
Summer! Good Lord. Why would you want winter? It's cold and it's dark.
He is the youngest senator that is going to be running. In his video, he also mentioned he's the only senator that lives in the inner city, and he's an unmarried vegan. So a lot of very unique qualities Cory Booker brings to the table, Kate.
Now, I appreciate the comments of my colleagues. This is about the closest I'll probably ever have in my life to an I am Spartacus moment. I am Spartacus. I am Spartacus.
Joey, you like movies about gladiators?
Have you ever had an LGBTQ law clerk?
I've not been a judge, so I don't have any law clerks.
Someone working for you.
I'm to be honest, I don't know the sexual orientation of my staff.
When Dick Durbin called me, I had tears of rage when I heard about this experience in that meeting. And for you not to feel that hurt, tears of rage.
Would you just stop being so dramatic?
I'm a big believer that if this country hasn't broken your heart, then you don't love her enough.
You're listening to the Howie Carr Show.
Mike Bloomberg is spending millions of dollars on all of his campaign ads, but we put together some of our favorite Bloomberg clips, and guess what, Mike? This one's totally free.
I think we disproportionately stop whites too much and minorities too little.
To be a farmer, it's a process. You dig a hole, you put a seed in, you put dirt on top, add water, up comes the corn. Then we had 300, you could learn that.
Donald Trump is the world's biggest schoolyard bully.
Big gay ice cream is the best.
The Communist Party wants to stay in power in China, and they listen to the public. When the public says, I can't breathe the air, Xi Jinping is not a dictator. He has to satisfy his constituents, or he's not going to survive.
He's not a dictator?
No, he has a constituency to answer to.
I'm ready to get to work, so let's get it on.
I would be 79 years old when I took office. To start a 4-year job, maybe an 8-year job at age 79 may not be the smartest thing to do.
Why did you say what you said in that 2015 speech?
Now's the perfect time to get a pair of premium wireless earbuds, and Raycon is the way to go. Raycon start at about half the price of other premium brands on the market, and they sound just as amazing. And Raycon's everyday E25 earbuds are their best model yet. You get 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, more bass, and a more compact design that gives you a comfortable, noise-isolating fit. Perfect for conference calls, video chats, or binging podcasts. Raycon was founded by Ray J, and celebrities like Cardi B and J.R. Smith have already given Raycons their seal of approval. I love my Raycons, and Grace loves hers, too.
Howie, I love my Raycons. Best birthday gift ever.
I listen to much better music than she does, though.
Hey, that's not true.
Now it's your turn to see what the hype is all about. Go to buyraycon.com/Howie. That's buyraycon.com/Howie. buyraycon.com/Howie.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
If you could go back in time and give your younger self advice, what would you say?
Get a state job, because behind the job comes the pension.
What's the best advice anyone's ever given you?
Most advice is pretty forgettable.
What's the best money you've ever spent?
The investment I made to leave the corporate radio prison I was in, the worst people I ever worked for, no doubt about it. I'd probably be dead if I were still working for them.
If you were on a deserted island and you could only bring 3 things, what would you bring?
A radio, a Wi-Fi system, obviously, and a computer.
Better strap yourself in. It's time for the Howie Carr Show.
Nameless agents riding around in vans, pulling people off the street, depriving them of their constitutional rights. That is not what a democracy looks like. And we are not going to have that in the city of Chicago.
The Department of Justice will immediately surge federal law enforcement to the city of Chicago.
We're moving in lock, stock, and barrel. And I dare you to keep me out!
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
There are meaningful ways that the president could actually help. Instead, it's denigrate, divide, and disparage.
Unfortunately, that level of pettiness is causing disaster in the city of Chicago right now. Too many politicians in my city and across this nation find it's easier to pander to the lowest common denominator in our societies as opposed to challenging people to believe and aspire for something greater.
Who's your captain? Howie Carr.
And what President Trump has done, his spreading of racism, the way he deals with people based on the color of their skin, their national origin, where they're from, is absolutely sickening. People don't make a distinction. As you well know, from a South Korean and someone from Beijing, they make no distinction. It's Asian.
You're not Chinese? I thought you were Chinese. You're not Chinese. I was duped.
Unchained and unstoppable.
You know, the cognitive test.
Well, when do you take that?
But usually when there is some issue or some concern about your cognitive abilities. So,
what were the animal shapes?
Well, it's a lion, a hippo, and a camel.
Isn't that a rhino in the middle?
A rhino.
You don't know a rhino?
That's a
from
rhino,
an elephant.
sorry, yeah.
One morning, I shot an elephant in my pajamas. How he got in my pajamas, I don't know.
Rump swabs, hacks, and moonbats beware. It's Howie Carr.
You know, I'd like to give those idiots on CNN, Cuomo and Don Lemon, I'd like to give them a test. You know, I'd like to give them a sodium pentothal test. Once I'd injected them, I would say, who do you think's going to do better on that Montreal cognitive test? Your man, Dementia Joe, or Donald J. Trump? And that's why I want to give them a shot first. I want to vaccinate them with some truth serum. 844-500-4242. Time now for the chump line.
Hey, Howie, how dare you make fun of Marky? You're still wearing the Madras plaid shorts.
Not when I'm running for the Senate. I'm wearing them when I walk down to the yogurt stand at the end of the block. You know, come on. If I were running for the Senate, I would definitely not be wearing my Madras shorts. I'd probably go and I'd buy a new pair of pants.
For the love of God, could you please learn the word shorts? God, short pants has meant underwear since, 1943? Nobody wants to hear about you walking around in short pants.
I wear my short pants when I go to the gymnasium. Come on. So what? What's the big deal? Shorts, short pants. I'm wearing some right now.
Why tire yourself out with the extra syllable, though?
That's just what I was raised saying, short pants.
You still call jeans dungarees?
No, No, I very seldom ever refer to jeans or dungarees. I never liked them. Never liked they were always seemed uncomfortable to me. The Chump Line is brought to you by Matthews Brothers, America's oldest window manufacturer. This week wondering when it was exactly that the role of poll takers morphed from reflecting public opinion to shaping public opinion. We try to keep this in mind when what we see does not agree with what we're being told we should believe.
Hey, is there any way I can vote for the 1993 Joe Biden?
Did you notice, though, even in 1993, he really wasn't the sharpest knife in the drawer? He was still getting kind of mixed up. He seemed more affable and less lost in the ozone, but he wasn't really somebody that you would want to entrust a brain surgery to, shall we say.
Howie, Joe Biden calling. Come on, man. You need to help stop the spread of COVID-19 by wearing a mask. Look at all the great governors requiring them, like Charlie Parker in Massachusetts, Terry Cuomo in New York, Art Carney in my home state of Delaware, Bud Abbott in Texas, Thomas Wolfe in my home state of Pennsylvania, and Jared Poilievre in Colorado. So you don't make people sick. Sick. I mean it.
And when you get sick, sometimes you get dead.
Howie, when Joe Biden goes to a funeral in Chicago, not only does he bring his brass knuckles, but he brings his AK-14.
Yeah. He brought that AK-14 to one of his favorite places in New England, Keene, Vermont.
Hi, Mr. Wheeler. Here's your steak. Here, would you like the salt and pepper? No, I'll take the salt. I've had enough pepper.
Yeah. Oh, he's a big he's a victim now. The mayor of Portland, Oregon. He got tear gassed. Does this guy think that really makes him some kind of Purple Heart recipient? Come on. Were you ever in Boston in the late 1970s? Were you ever at Seabrook when the Clamshell Alliance came to town? I mean, it's not exactly something that millions of Americans haven't experienced.
Virtual fans? That's pathetic. But Democrats are interested in getting them registered to vote.
Well, Joe Biden wouldn't call them virtual fans; he'd call them viral fans. At the viral convention in Milwaukee, and are they going to be? Is it going to be the COVID-19 virus or the new virus that he invented yesterday, COVID-9? And we all know how do we treat? No, we don't have it. We don't have the treatment available. We'll have to call CVS, leave an order at the drive-through window.
Maybe the Seattle government should worry less about a possible NHL franchise and more about cracking some Antifa heads.
Kraken. So they tried to, the new NHL franchise in Seattle has decided to avoid any future possible embarrassment, litigation, politically incorrect faux pas just by naming the team after something that doesn't exist.
Howie, Anthony Fauci calling. In about 2 hours, I will be throwing out the first pitch. And though I might be 2 feet shorter and 5 years older than you, I can actually throw a baseball. Whereas the only time you got something over the plate was at an all-you-can-eat buffet.
I wish I had someone record the videotape of me whipping that fastball into the catcher at Hadlock Field in Portland, Maine. Well, it wasn't that fast, but I did get it over the plate. Well, I don't know if I got it over the plate, but at least it didn't bounce in the dirt. That was the important thing.
I think Mr. Frosty was wandering around Malden looking for that house he pretends he lives in.
Yeah, I know. You get old. Sometimes people get old and they begin to think that they live in the house that they were in when they were a kid. I know this from personal experience in my own family. I wonder if he sometimes tries to wander back. Well, it's the same house, I guess, so it doesn't really matter. It's the same house he lived in when he was at Malden Catholic High. And then he went to BC, and then he went to the Mr. Frosty truck. And then he went to BC Law School. And after he passed the bar exam, he went back to the Mr. Frosty truck. Because would you hire him if you ran a law firm? I sure wouldn't.
Maki's predecessor, Ted Kennedy, did not wear old man pants. Didn't wear any pants.
Sans culotte, as they say in Paris. And you know what? I think it would be a better look to have no pants than those pants that he's wearing in that new 30-second spot.
That was your last chump line message. Thank you for calling Howie Carr, you chump.
All right. The chump line is the recorded voicemail message service of the Howie Carr Show. You can call and leave a message at any hour of the day or night, including weekends. The chump line number, 844-500-4242. That's 844-500-4242. Press 2 for the chump line. Leave your message. We may or may not play it at this time each weekday. If you didn't hear your message or you want to just hear more messages from the chump line that didn't make it onto the airwaves today, we use the messages that were left on the cutting room floor at 7 o'clock. They're posted as a podcast on Chopped Chumps. Get them wherever you get your Howie Carr podcasts. The Chump Line is brought to you by Matthews Brothers, America's oldest window manufacturer. This week, wondering when it was exactly that the role of poll takers morphed from reflecting public opinion to shaping public opinion. We try to keep this in mind when what we see does not agree with what we're being told we should believe.
Maki's predecessor, Ted Kennedy, did not wear old man pants. Didn't wear any pants.
Michelle Casson, the Patches Kennedy date on that famous traditional Easter weekend. I was out on the beach with Patches, and suddenly the senator stumbled out of the house, and he was not wearing trousers any longer. And I knew it was time to leave. Good thinking, Michelle. I'm Howie Carr.
He's suave, he's debonair, he's Howie Carr.
This hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you in part by Terry Riley of Robert Paul Properties. Terry is your Cape Cod real estate expert. Her vast experience will help you navigate the market and make the process easy and fun. Call Terry Riley at 508-776-6182. There are many conversations at both the state and federal levels about gun control. People for and against background checks, waiting periods, and what you should and should not be allowed to purchase. Regardless of what happens, you have the right to bear arms. It's your constitutional right. And you also have the obligation to yourself, your family, and those around you to lock up your guns. Liberty Safe New Hampshire can help you pick the right safe for you. Visit LibertySafeNewHampshire.com. Be smart. Be responsible. Be safe. Liberty Safe. Nothing says summer like fresh lobster and a beer, and Quahog Republic has them both. Featuring their lobster roll with 10 ounces of lobster meat, there's no mystery as to why they were voted best lobster roll in Massachusetts by Yankee Magazine. You can wash it down with Quahog's own golden ale. If you go for more of a mixed drink, then you cannot pass up their Bloody Mary with sun-dried tomatoes, peppers, and garlic, and they top it off with a nice piece of bacon. Visit them today at any of their 3 locations in New Bedford, Onset, or Falmouth. Quahog Republic. Live, give, and relax.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
Is Kennedy Babylon 2 your last book?
No, if I think of another topic for a book I want to write, I'll go for it. But I think it's the last of my Kennedy Babylon series. I made Kennedy Babylon 2 kind of long because I wanted to get everything in there. Now there's other stuff I could write about, but I'm Kennedy'd out.
Since having the sleeve operation, do you miss not eating big meals?
No, I don't. I can still eat what I used to eat. I just can't eat as much. I'm now very surprised how much I used to eat. I'm surprised at how much people I eat with consume. It's just hard to believe that I used to eat that much. But no, it's not a problem.
How is Mr. Gooner since Pearl's passing?
Mr. Gooner is drowning his sorrows in food.
What is the most trouble you ever got into as a kid?
My father was giving me grief one time up at Moosehead Lake in Maine, and I threw a rock at him. He didn't much like that. Here's how it works with my retirement accounts, and I'll bet yours too. If your 401k, your SEP, your IRA, whatever, is going up, you probably don't think very much about it, right? But if it's going down, well, there's nothing much else you can think of. So for the last couple of years, none of us have been worrying much about those quarterly statements. But lately, it's gotten a little worrisome. It's not that bad, not yet anyway, but what goes up must come down. Now is the time to start thinking about adjusting your investments. Gold and silver have always been a hedge against stock market volatility. Uncertainty about the future has traditionally met rising prices for precious metals. Orion Metal Exchange is the only precious metals company I trust. Give Orion a call to get a free, no-obligation investment guide about protecting your future with an enduring investment in gold and silver. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain, including peace of mind, by calling Orion Metal Exchange now. Call them today at 800-912-2300. And with Orion, you'll get more metal for your money. Call 800-912-2300. That's 800-912-2300.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
Would you say you're more like your mom or your dad?
No, I don't think I ended up being like either of them, now that I think about it. My mother worked hard, but she never really learned how to make a lot of money, and my father didn't work so hard, but he had a good personality. He was good with people. He was better than me with people. That's why I'm saying I'm not like either one of them, I don't think.
Did you have any siblings?
Yes, I have a brother, a younger brother.
What was your favorite subject in school?
Well, all kinds of history. I loved all kinds of history.
If you could have 3 houses besides the ones you already have, anywhere in the world, where would they be?
I wouldn't mind having another house in Palm Beach on Clark Avenue. Maybe a place in southern Maine. I don't need a third place.
Didn't you already have a house in Maine?
I did. It was on an island. It was not a good fit for the mailroom manager.
I've heard the house was haunted. Is that true?
Yes. And my wife didn't really care that much for my relatives.
Hi, this is John in the People's Republic of Amherst, Massachusetts.
This is Heather from Litchfield, Maine.
This is Kent, Wichita, Kansas, and this is the Howie Carr Show.
844-500-4242. Poll question is brought to you by Roman. Talking about erectile dysfunction isn't easy. Good thing Roman makes treating erectile dysfunction simple, safe, and from the comfort of your own home. Get a free online evaluation today at GetRoman.com/Howie. If approved, you'll get $15 off your first order of ED treatment. GetRoman.com/Howie. Taylor, what's the poll question? What are the results thus far?
Will you be following Major League Baseball this year?
Dr. Fauci is throwing out the first pitch this evening. Does that answer your question? Absolutely not.
Only 10% say they will.
Oh, God. How ridiculous is it to pipe in sound, too? I mean, people get fired. Newspaper photographers get fired if they put like extra bank of cloud on a picture. How is this any different? Right? And didn't they weren't the network shamed into not using laugh tracks many years ago? And that if you had laughter, you had to have a live studio audience. But now it's all okay. They're gonna Photoshop. Fox says they're gonna. I don't know what the phrase is. Photoshop crowds.
Are they going to pipe in the sound only on television, or is it going to be in the stadium?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know the answer to that.
Because I'd imagine the players would get pretty frustrated with fake sound.
What you know how Dutch Reagan broke into the media back in. He worked for WHO in Des Moines, huge station. You can still pick it up at night during the winter around here sometimes, I think. But they would get the Cubs games, and but they didn't have anybody at Wrigley Field on the north side of Chicago. They had the teletype or the telegraph was just coming in, and Honus Wagner takes a strike, a call third strike or something, and Dutch would read it as it came across the wire, and I think they had stuff piped in there and I think they had sound effects piped in on the radio station. Now, I mean, we've come full circle. You know, it's like when I was tweeting out the Whitey Bulger trial. I was tweeting it out, and I felt like Damon Runyon doing the Lindbergh trial. You know, that's what he was doing. He was just writing it down and giving it to the Telegraph guy. I didn't have a Telegraph guy. I was the Telegraph guy. Tony, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Tony.
Hello.
Yes.
Is this Howie?
It is.
Hi, how are you? I just wanted to offer some insights, if I could, into, the president sending troops into Chicago. I'm an old reporter from Chicago. I used to work back there in the day with Richard J. Daley and the great Mike Royko. I don't know if you remember him.
I sure do. But, he worked for the Sun-Times, and then when Rupert bought the Sun-Times, he defected to the Tribune. I remember him well. Go ahead.
Because he called Rupert the alien. But anyway, I was in the corporate world for a long time, but I've been watching, I still pay attention to Chicago. I live in Denver now.
Oh, boy, you went from the frying pan into the fire, or vice versa.
Either way. But what's the... I don't know that Donald understands the dynamic that's taken place in Chicago over the last, I'd say, I think it kind of was put into motion when Obama was in the White House. Who's running the show in Chicago now it's not the Democratic machine as it used to be in the days of Daley. It's been taken over by the progressives, and the progressives come out of Hyde Park. And that's where Obama came out of.
And Bill Ayers and Bernadine Doran. Right. Yeah, no, I know, Tony. And it's ironic, isn't it, that alderman from the old Daley area, Bridgeport, I guess, Lopez is his name. He's in the intro. He's a gay Mexican American, and he's like the nearest thing they got to a conservative on the Chicago Board of Aldermen now, Tony. And he's feuding with Lori Lightfoot, the mayor, and she's basically standing by while these gangs that he's been battling. He's a lib Democrat, but he's still fighting the gangs, and they're vandalizing his property. Tony, that never would have happened when Daley was mayor. I'll tell you that. Mark, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, I got 3 points, Howie. There's a 15-ton bronze statue of Lenin in the park in Seattle.
Right.
I thought we could make an exchange with Donald Trump and Putin. Maybe we can make an exchange for Robert Kraft's ring that Putin stole from him for that 15-ton bronze statue.
Yeah, isn't it weird, Mark, that nothing has happened to that statue? In spite of all the rioting and all the statues being defaced and vandalized, nothing has happened to that statue of Lenin, has it?
Well, listen, if that don't work, we're going to send a tractor trailer and a crane down there and bring it down to the Presidio and Miguel Gorbachev at the Presidio. They can have their own nation, have their own statue. As a matter of fact,
I was just thinking the Germans. The Germans sent Lenin back to Russia to foment the revolution in a sealed rail car. We can send the statue of Lenin back in a sealed rail car to Russia. Maybe can foment it again, return the Soviet Union. I'm Howie Carr.
Matthews Brothers with 1T, America's oldest window manufacturer. For over 8 years, we here at Matthews Brothers have ended every stupid commercial with that simple but repetitive spelling reminder. Even so, people come up to us every day and say, "Hey there, Mr. Man, were those Matthews Brothers fictional or were they real, like the Marx Brothers, the Wright Brothers, or the Blues Brothers?" We usually respond with, "Listen here, sister. 25 years before Tom Edison invented electricity, Spencer, Noah, and Sanford Matthews started making their first wicked awesome windows in Belfast, Maine. Being the clever fellas they were, they decided to call the company company, Matthews Brothers. Over the next 166 years, the company passed from the Matthews to the Frost to the Lang and finally to the Hawthorne family, who today are in their third generation of leadership and management. This continuity has allowed us to maintain the Matthews Brothers traditions of superior quality, outstanding performance, and surprising affordability. You can learn more about our wicked awesome Maine-made windows and doors, but only at Better Lumberyards and Window Professionals or on the web at MatthewsBrothers.com. That's Matthews Brothers with one T, America's oldest window manufacturer.
Whether it's global warming, global cooling, or climate change, one thing's for certain, the progressive moonbats can't stop talking about it.
We're talking about cities all over the world, major cities going underwater.
You know, I've spent a lot of time now with these young students, and they're scared. And a lot of young people are even suffering from, they're calling it extinction illness.
So that we can have people here who truly are committed to climate change, believe in climate change as though it's a religion, it's not a science.
A woman whose dreams of motherhood now taste bittersweet because of what I know about our children's future.
You have stolen my dreams and my childhood with your empty words.
That curing cancer is going to be much more difficult when there's so much climate change and pollutants in the environment, because a lot of cancer is environmentally caused.
Recognizing and acknowledging the link between animal agriculture and climate change is a very bold move, making tonight plant-based.
Hair loss is not one of life's more enjoyable experiences. If you're looking to fill in your hairline or reverse years of hair loss, DiStefano Hair Restoration will create a result that will be a transformative experience. The result of my IGT procedure was quite remarkable. I now have fuller, thicker hair, so I can even wear it a bit longer. There are a few major decisions I've made in my life that I wish I did sooner. My hair restoration is number one. It was by far one of the best moves I've ever made. My hair looks awesome, and the confidence from having a full head of hair again has left me feeling great. I used to look in the mirror and dreaded seeing my ever-increasing bald spot. Now when I look in the mirror, I see the new me with a full head of thick hair. For information on how to make the same choice I did, go to hairman.com/Howie. What are you waiting for? More hair to fall out? Get the hair you've always wanted. Hairman.com/Howie.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
You are known as a cheap bastard. Which one of your daughters is the cheapest and why?
Charlotte is the cheapest, and I say that because she's always using my credit card. We keep changing the credit cards over and over again, and she keeps busting in and using them again. Most recently, just this week, she spent $75 at AT&T.
What's the cheapest thing you do now to save money?
The cheapest thing I do currently to save money, I guess, is I take all the bottles and cans back to the market basket every weekend. I always like to save that money. You know, I can't stand to throw those bottles and cans away and have the unclaimed returns go to the state of Massachusetts for illegal aliens.
Do you recycle?
Yes, I do recycle. When I got on the town meeting, I saw that the town dump was probably the only department in the town that was running in the black, and it's because of all the recycling that was going on. So I try to keep my taxes down that way.
Are we starting to feel bad for Joe Biden? Sorta. Are we going to play his gaffes anyway? Of course.
My name's Joe Biden. I'm a Democratic candidate for the United States Senate.
Now we need to stand behind Jamie Harrison, the next president, next senator.
I'm looking forward to appointing the first African-American woman to the United States Senate. Just like here in California, here in Nevada. Back in the spring, late fall, late spring, late winter, early fall, anyway, you know what I mean.
Look, tomorrow's Superstar Tuesday. I tell you what, I'm rushing ahead, aren't I?
We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by you know the thing. It says you cannot have 20, 30, 40, 50 clips in a weapon. We'll see who's sleepy.
Mr. Vice President, thank you.
All right, Chuck, thank you very much.
All right, it's crisp.
Sometimes I wake up and I think it's 1920 and not 2020.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
844-500-4242. That's the toll-free number of the Howie Carr Show. 978 is, giving me a little bit more on the story about Dutch Reagan. when he was the play-by-play guy on WHO in Des Moines. You forgot that one time Dutch had the teletype go down for like 15 minutes, and he had the pitcher go up to the mound, the coach come out, and then when it came up, everything was a hit until he caught up. Yeah, I guess you could say, it's they're having a conference at the mound, and so is warming up in the bullpen, and they're taking their time, or you could have somebody fouling ball after ball off. My uncle and my father used to tell me, but back in the days in like the Polo Grounds in New York, before they had the lights up, they went to the night games. As the season progressed, and sunset was earlier and earlier. If one of the teams had a lead, they'd try to keep fouling balls off. Just keep trying to just run out the clock until the game was over. Joining us now on the line is Joe Concha. He's the media reporter for The Hill, and you see him on TV all the time. And we just wanted to check in with all the media events of the day. Joe, what do you think of this new baseball season that's beginning tonight with Dr. Fauci is throwing out the first pitch? That just really it doesn't seem to match the tenor that they try to portray, that these are the last days, that we have this life and death epidemic, and this guy takes time out to throw out the first pitch. It's kind of crazy, isn't it?
It is a contradiction. Yeah, Howie, it is. If I were Dr. Fauci, I'd say, look, I got bigger fish to fry right now. We have a resurgence of coronavirus I always hear Republican states, but California is the worst. They've had their worst death toll yesterday than they've had any time during this pandemic. So this is a Democrat, Republican a problem, and just to do this, I don't know. Let's say Trump decided that President Trump decided he was going to throw up the first pitch at X game, right? Then he would be eviscerated for it. Like, why are you doing this when people are dying? But the Fauci could do it. It's all okay. Plus, you know what? The guy's maybe like 5'4", 70-something years old. He's not throwing from the rubber. That I know, Howie. That's from the front of the mound. We're going to see that tonight. No Kurt Schilling out there. That's for sure.
I know. I've done it, and I made sure I was right on the mound. You got to do that.
Were you really?
Just for
how'd that go? That must be the most nerve-wracking thing in the history of nerve-wracking things, right?
It is, because everybody's watching you, and and especially in the days of social media, everybody's going to give you crap if you bounce it in the dirt like Barack Obama did, right? But I got it across. I got it across the plate. By the way, Trump just canceled the Republican convention in Jacksonville. So this is the thing is, though, Joe. Let's go back and talk about the testing, the cognitive testing that Trump mentioned last night on Fox. I mean, and he's taken all this grief about taking that test. But if he hadn't taken the test, they'd be giving him grief. It's the same old story. Whatever he does, they're going to rip him for it, right?
Remember, Howie, he took a cognitive test, I believe it was 2 years ago, when everybody says, well, Joe Scarborough says from his White House sources that the president is in the early stages of onset dementia. Boy, that early stage has been going on for a while now, hasn't it, Joe? Right? So he takes the test. He scores 30 out of 30, all right? And everybody says, well, the doctor, is in Trump's corner and probably manipulated the test. Like, you're right. There is no good solution when it comes to Trump and the media. Meanwhile, you compare that to, say, Andrew Cuomo, right, where in New York, and I'm right near New York, 6,000 deaths in nursing homes alone based on his executive order to send back COVID-19 positive patients back into nursing homes, which is like taking a blowtorch to dry grass. And this guy is praised as the greatest politician ever. And meanwhile, he's in Georgia yesterday not wearing a mask when he's screaming at everybody to wear a mask. So, yeah, look, there is a no-win situation for this president in this particular situation. And it's not going to end until Joe Biden is elected president in November. But I got to tell you, Howie, there is a big enthusiasm gap with Joe Biden. He did a live stream yesterday. At one point, 19 people were watching. Not 19,000. 19 people were watching, and his only message is, I'm going to spend a lot of money, and I don't care about rioting in cities. So I don't know. I'm seeing 2016 all over again in terms of the opponent to Trump not having a positive message, and the only message is Trump is bad, vote for me because I'm a good person.
Yeah. How about 62% of the people don't want to give their real political views because they're afraid of being canceled or blowback, whatever you want to call it? I think that's a large number of mostly Trump voters who are saying that. And again, they're not going to tell people, any pollsters, how they're voting. Just like Joe, you remember the exit polls? They used to be pretty accurate. But for the last 20 years or so, nobody's been telling the exit pollsters anything truthful. Those numbers are never worth anything.
I'm like you, Howie. I'm in a blue state, right? I'm in Jersey. You're in Massachusetts. And I can tell you, I have plenty of Democratic friends. I have plenty of Republican friends. And the Republican friends are petrified to even remotely speak out. And I mean speak out like, on Facebook, on social media. We saw a teacher in Michigan who was just fired because he says, I'm done being silent. Donald Trump is our president.
Right.
And that's all he wrote. And not like a reprimand from the school. Let's not get political. You didn't have to post that. Can you delete it? You're fired. You're eliminated. The Goya CEO says something nice about the president while he's at the White House, as he said about President Obama when he was there in 2012. And they tried to boycott his company. And so, it's such a sensitive time. If I have a good career, I'm not saying anything like I support this president in any way, shape, or form, and that's why the polls, I think we should really take a lot of caution around, because I think people are even afraid to tell pollsters how they feel.
Yeah, and getting back to the cognitive test, remember Joe Biden was asked briefly about this, and he just said, oh, yeah, I've taken it. I take them all the time. And there's never any follow-up. No one's ever criticizing him. No one is trying to dissect his appearances. And, we do it all the time on this show, Joe. And maybe it's unkind, but it's also instructive to see how lost he becomes when he gets into the most basic discussions like numbers. He can't remember how many billions of dollars were in the stimulus package 10 years ago. He says 84 billion one day, 800 billion the next day. He goes back and forth. He doesn't know what state he's in. He called it COVID-9 yesterday, and he gets a total pass.
If I'm a reporter, and look, he doesn't take any questions, right? He's done one press conference where he took questions from 6 reporters. That was it. One press conference over the last 100 days. But if I'm a reporter there and I actually care about the truth and I want to challenge people in power, and this isn't a gotcha question or an unfair question, I would say, Mr. Biden, you said that you get tested several times a day on a cognitive basis. What are the results of those tests? What doctor administered those tests? And can we see the results of those tests? That's all. Because Trump would be asked the same question. Any politician would. But you're right. He gets a pass because that's the way it works now. And it's just, I just can't believe that people are listening to Joe Biden and saying, yeah, we should put this guy in charge, considering that, look, I watched the 2012 vice presidential debate between Paul Ryan and Joe Biden. He was good in that debate. He was sharp. He knew his arguments. You could disagree with the arguments. I get that completely. But he is not remotely the same person he was 8 years ago. And this is a person who wants to be the leader of the free world. I'm sorry. The minute that he is forced to talk, and that's going to happen after Labor Day, believe me, when people are really paying attention, and he actually has to do some interviews and do the debates, more importantly, Donald Trump needs to make sure that the moderators chosen for those 3 debates are actual journalists, objective, who will ask tough questions on both sides, particularly to Mr. Biden, because I have a feeling he will wilt under that pressure, and people will be like, whoa, all right, I may not like Trump, but that guy has no business being near the Oval Office, let alone any office.
Well, they have somebody with him at all times now when he's doing these interviews from the basement, and as soon as he begins to lose it, like yesterday, he started yelling, sick, sick, and they just wrap it up immediately. I keep asking myself, is that guy who cut it off, is he in a white coat, a lab coat? Does he have a net? But he's not. He's just not there. And how the MSNBC people, I'm just looking at another one of your stories from a couple of days ago. Heilemann says that Trump is deploying the feds to Portland as a trial run to steal the election. I mean, how demented are these people to say this stuff? And why are they still on the air when they say crazy stuff like this? Does Heilemann really believe that? Do you think?
Yeah. look, I thought Mark Halperin is a pretty good journalist, right? I get, with the whole Me Too movement and everything that was accused against him. He no longer is there, but he was. Remember Simon and Garfunkel, right?
Yeah.
Heilman is Garfunkel. You don't want to be Garfunkel, right? So now, look, these guys don't care about the truth. They care about, do I say something on television? I do a lot of television, as you mentioned. And if I say it, will that go viral? And will I get a write-up in Mediaite? And will I be on all these shows, talking about in the most provocative terms in a way where more attention is drawn to me? No one cares about Pulitzers anymore. They care about getting invited on Stephen Colbert. So then they could talk more bad stuff about Trump. But I got to tell you, the minute Donald Trump leaves the stage, all these people have no careers because they've lost all their credibility. When you say things like it's a trial run to stay in office, to send federal assets to Portland or Chicago or Minneapolis, New York, where, believe me, I'm in New York. It is a mess here. The real estate agencies in New Jersey they're all going to be millionaires because everybody's moving out because there's shootings. At least New York used to be, well, it's expensive, but it's safe. Now it's expensive and it's unsafe. Who would ever want to live there? And Portland is a prime example. I hear journalists telling me that it's peaceful protests going on in Portland when I see fires and cops being attacked with fireworks. Are you kidding me? So, yeah, I've lost my mind, man. I'm usually an objective, not really emotional person. That's all over. I can't take it anymore, Howie.
I understand, Joe. What about COVID-19? These media outlets and newspapers, radio, TV, they promote this panic porn as if it's the end of the world here. And I keep asking myself, everybody in Boston, all the media outlets are laying people off. It's the same way across the country. You have McClatchy's in bankruptcy. Tribune Company is basically bankrupt. And these people are promoting keeping the economy shut down. Do they ever think that it's going to come back to haunt them? I mean, they have to, right?
Wow. Yeah.
I just
really
don't understand it.
Angle.
It's like, I think about it all the time because, there were my newspaper, the Herald, has had a lot of layoffs, and I just can't believe that. And so is I have all the papers that I know of, and why it's one thing to report the news objectively, but it's like they're rooting, they're looking for the worst statistics possible, and even though there are warnings from various sources that these numbers are being inflated or just not inflated, but totally made up out of whole cloth, and they're still running with them, and they're gleefully running with them.
I'll raise my hand. We had pay cuts where I work, but I understood them because we couldn't do live events anymore. We couldn't do our advertising revenue had dropped because those companies were affected. So that's the first thing that goes is you don't advertise a product. You want to just keep the product alive at that point. The death tolls are rising now. It's a very real thing. I don't like the revisionist history, though, around, well, President Trump should have said to wear a mask, and if we just did that. The CDC was saying in March and April that masks don't make any difference. You shouldn't wear a mask. Don't wear a mask. So everybody was yelling at Trump to listen to the doctors in March and April. And then when the CDC and Dr. Fauci and everybody else said, no, a mask isn't necessary, well, he was listening to the doctors. So when at some point are we going to start blaming those people in terms of putting us on the wrong path? It's a mess, and this is like a presidential election, Howie, like I've never seen before. I always just wish that this thing never came, and we just had a fair fight between Donald Trump and Joe Biden based on issues. But this thing is blotting out the sun, along with the George Floyd killing, and now we're going to elect somebody who clearly has no business being anywhere near the presidency, or we're not, maybe, because, again, the polls, we talked about that, but he has a lot better chance now than he did before, and it's just a shame because, we were on such a good path right before all this came along.
I know. We were looking at 4 more years of peace and prosperity. Now, God only knows what's going to happen. Joe Concha, always a pleasure. Thanks for being with us here on the Howie Carr Show. I recently had a dental emergency, and where did I go? Perfect Smiles. I've said this before, but was reminded once again of what a perfectionist Dr. Houghton is. He's a veneer engineer and a world-class dental artist. Being on TV, it's important that I look my best. Dr. Houghton did that for me, and he can do it for you, too. Right now, a lot of people don't want to go into the city for a number of reasons. Well, Perfect Smiles is great for you. It's conveniently located in Nashua, New Hampshire, just right off the highway. Parking is plentiful and it's free. I was also impressed last week when I was up there to see all the state-of-the-art safety protocols they've taken since the virus. You'll feel safe and confident when you visit Perfect Smiles, and it's actually easier now with some of these protocols. I thought they'd be intrusive, but they actually make for a more pleasant experience, believe it or not. To see for yourself and get your perfect smile, call 1-844-A-PERFECT-SMILE or go to HowieCarrShow.com and click on the Perfect Smiles banner. You can also see my video at PerfectSmiles.com. Perfect Smiles. Change your smile, change your life. I'm Howie Carr.
Howie Carr. You can trust him. He's not like the others.
This hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you in part by Moby Dick's on Route 6 in Wellfleet. Don't let the lines deter you. It's worth the wait. From seafood gumbo to lobster rolls, Moby Dick's has it all. And now, a minute of wisdom from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Millennials and people and, Gen Z and all these folks that come after us are looking up, and we're like, the world is going to end in 12 years if we don't address climate change. And your biggest issue is... Your biggest issue is how are we going to pay for it? And this is the war. This is our World War II.
I think that there's a lot of people more concerned about being precisely, factually, and semantically correct than about being morally right.
But being factually correct is important.
It's absolutely important.
And if we work our butts off to make sure that we take back all three chambers of Congress, all three chambers of government, the presidency, the Senate, and the House in 2020, we can't start working in 2020.
We all shop online, and now you could do it a better way with Honey. Honey is the free online shopping tool that automatically finds the best promo codes and applies them to your cart. Just download Honey to your computer and shop on all your favorite websites like normal. When you check out, just click the Apply Coupons button that pops up. Wait a few seconds for Honey to scan its database of all the working coupons on the web. Then watch your price drop. Honey works on nearly every online store, including Walmart, Target, Home Depot, Macy's, Etsy, and more. And Honey has found over $2 billion in savings for its users. That's why it has over 100,000 five-star reviews on the Google Chrome store. It's 100% free to use and installs in seconds. Plus, it's backed by PayPal, so you know it's secure and reliable. Not using Honey is literally passing up free money. So get Honey for free today at joinhoney.com/Howie. That's joinhoney.com/Howie.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
Can you remember any time in your life when you were starstruck?
One time I saw Peter Vesey, the NBA columnist for the New York Post. He was in the Herald sports department. I really liked his column, so I went up and introduced myself to him. Then one time there was Cousin Brucey from WABC, and I used to listen to him driving back and forth between Chapel Hill and Deerfield when I was in college. Everybody on the East Coast listened to him. I couldn't believe that I was in the presence of Cousin Brucey.
Do you ever play bridge anymore?
No, I haven't played bridge in a very long time. Nobody I know plays bridge. I think my bridge days are behind me.
Do you think you'd still be good at it?
I'm not a great bidder, but I know how to count cards. That, to me, is the essence of playing a hand of bridge, is to be able to count cards.
What is a rhino?
Rhino is a Republican in name only. Think Paul Ryan. Oh, think Mitt Romney. Think Jeff Flake.
Hi, this is Cindy from Osterville, Massachusetts.
This is Brett Rock from Dunstable, Massachusetts.
This is Amy in Lisbon Falls, Maine, and this is the Howie Carr Show.
844-500-4242. Let's take a little bit of the president's press conference. He's just canceled the convention in Jacksonville over the virus, but here he is.
Season isn't the example of Jacksonville that we're pushing too fast.
Well, baseball as an example, we were discussing it a little while ago. You're going to be at an empty stadium. I've agreed. Randy Levine's a great friend of mine from the Yankees. He asked me to throw out the first pitch, and I think I'm doing that on August 15th at Yankee Stadium. And I say, how's the crowd going to be? And, it's like you don't have a crowd. There is no such thing. It's going to be interesting, Mariano. He's not used to that. I've been at many games. He walks in, the place goes crazy. I think it'd be just as good without the crowd. You were just born with it. Some people are born with it. I don't know if this is only for the baseball players, but I've never seen a pitcher throw a ball where so many bats were broken as Mariano. He's got the all-time record. I said, how do you do that? He said, parents. Great parents, when you get right down to it, right? How do you do that? It's called parents. Just to finish, I think that we have to all set examples. I think Major League Baseball is setting an example by, playing to empty stadiums, and so are other sports. You see that. Now, then they'll allow a certain number in. I see golf is now soon will be allowing people to come in percentages, and all of a sudden we want to get back to normal. The key is to get back to normal because nobody wants to see this. But I think it's
the
really
Democrats
good that
do,
baseball's
Mr. President.
opening. It looks like football's opening. It looks like sports are opening. We have. It's a tremendous thing psychologically for our country. And
let's take a call or two here. Bob Maines from Matthews Brothers. Go ahead, Bob.
Hey, Howie, how you doing?
Good. What's happening?
Let's touch on what Joe Concha was talking about with the polls. Much like my confidence going into the election day in 2016, I spent 2 days driving around doing photo projects, driving around Maine, New Hampshire, and Massachusetts. And I started doing my own little poll, and I stopped counting Trump signs, houses with Trump signs at 350. I stopped counting Matthews Brothers job signs at 46, and I found one Joe Biden yard sign. One Biden yard sign.
That was an interesting point about his basement video yesterday. There were 26 minutes in, there were 19 people on it. Right now, listening to us talk, watching us on YouTube, there's probably hundreds. Hundreds. How do you only have 19 people when you're the presumptive Democrat nominee? It's pretty sad, isn't it?
No, that's the poll that counts. That's the true poll right there.
Yeah.
That's what the election is going to be, 80-20.
I hope so. Bob, we'll be right back. 844-500-4242. I'm Howie Carr. Thinking about camping this year? Are you thinking about your first RV or ready for your 10th RV? This is Howie Carr, and Cold Springs RV is ready for you. After one visit, you will understand why they are called the destination for all things camping. If a new or pre-owned camper has been on your wish list, now is the time to check it off. At Cold Springs RV, you can score a deal on a pop-up, travel trailer, fifth wheel, or motor home. If it's service you need, the brand new state-of-the-art service facility is ready for you. They service all makes and brands. If your RV needs body work, they have you covered. They can help you with collision repair, roof replacement, or even a new paint job. From minor repairs to major insurance jobs, Cold Springs RV can do it all. As a full-service RV dealer, you know they can fix just about anything. If you are a service tech and want to work for the best, ask about employment today. Cold Springs RV, Route 114 in Ware, New Hampshire. ColdSpringsRV.com, your destination for all things camping.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
Who do you consider the biggest rhino in the Republican Party?
Probably is Paul Ryan. I wish a Republican were still the speaker, but Paul Ryan was scarcely a Republican. And there was a reason he was Mitt Romney's running mate, because we had a rhino ticket in 2012.
Where did the expression, "How many more, Mr. Speaker? How many more?" come from?
That comes from the State House. There used to be a state rep who sometimes would talk about atrocities that were happening in crime. And he would get up there and he would say, "How many more, Mr. Speaker? How many more?" And I just picked it up and it became a trademark.
Where's your favorite place to go out to eat in Palm Beach?
My favorite place to go in Palm Beach is probably the Honor Bar, which used to be O-Bar, and you can get a really great hamburger there, and they have a great coffee machine that brews each cup of coffee individually.
And now, 1 minute of Nancy Pelosi.
It is a bill that is much needed for our farmers and ranchers. I think there are only 47 votes against it. And in the House of Representatives. The American people should know the source of it. Again, we are engaged in the year-end continuing resolution, Homeland Security. I'm not sure. No, I haven't spoken to him since he called the other day, which was a very amicable conversation. Amiable, I guess you would say, not amicable. And I talked to Chuck last night to say, we haven't had an answer. There are other things that are going on that are newsworthy, and I think you'd have more viewers or readers if people address concerns that people have. The list goes on about the
You're listening to the Howie Carr Show.
Here's how it works with my retirement accounts, and I'll bet yours too. If your 401k, your SEP, your IRA, whatever, is going up, you probably don't think very much about it, right? But if it's going down, well, there's nothing much else you can think of. So for the last couple of years, none of us have been worrying much about those quarterly statements. But lately, it's gotten a little worrisome. It's not that bad, not yet anyway, but what goes up must come down. Now is the time to start thinking about adjusting your investments. Gold and silver have always been a hedge against stock market volatility. Uncertainty about the future has traditionally met rising prices for precious metals. Orion Metal Exchange is the only precious metals company I trust. Give Orion a call to get a free, no-obligation investment guide about protecting your future with an enduring investment in gold and silver. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain, including peace of mind, by calling Orion Metal Exchange now. Call them today at 800-912-2300. And with Orion, you'll get more metal for your money. Call 800-912-2300. That's 800-912-2300. I've seen a lot of Anchor cupcakes in my day. Here are some of the latest network nitwits.
And he says, if I'm elected president, I will push for a constitutional amendment to impose term limits on all members of Congress. Correct me, there already are term limits, so what does he mean?
And what are we hearing in the background? Is that shelling?
No, Katie, you're actually hearing that from here in Jerusalem, and it's actually fireworks going off right behind me.
We're in our tribes, we're in our corners most of our lives. I think we just heard some gunshots. Should we listen to that for a second, control room? That's not gunshots? Okay.
Ivanka is not the second lady. She is actually, I don't think she deserves this position. She's actually a senior advisor to the president. So the idea that he would demean her specifically in that way, he shouldn't talk about the first lady that way. We aren't all here to make salads for men. It's disgusting.
I mean, I'm presuming he was talking about Karen Pence when he said second lady.
Oh, God, I'm sorry.
Not Montana. I'm talking about no, never mind.
Yeah, no,
ignore me.
I mean, that's Republicans could add to that.
I was getting Montana and North Dakota confused because, I don't know, I just was.
Are we starting to feel bad for Joe Biden? Sorta. Are we going to play his gaffes anyway? Of course.
My name's Joe Biden. I'm a Democratic candidate for the United States Senate.
Now we need to stand behind Jamie Harrison, the next president, next senator.
I'm looking forward to appointing the first African-American woman to the United States Senate. Just like here in California, here in Nevada. Back in the spring, late fall, late spring, late winter, early fall. Anyway, you know what I mean.
Look, tomorrow's Superstar Tuesday. I tell you what, I'm rushing ahead, aren't I? We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by you know the thing. It says you cannot have 20, 30, 40, 50 clips in a weapon. We'll see who's sleepy.
Mr. Vice President, thank you.
All right, Chuck. Thank you very much.
All right. It's Chris.
Sometimes I wake up and I think it's 1920 and not 2020.
You're listening to the Howie Carr Show.
The word that's helping Elizabeth Warren get through her so-so campaign? So.
Will you raise taxes on the middle class to pay for it, yes or no?
So the way I see this, so understand, taxing income is not going to get you where you need to be the way taxing wealth does. So no, and I'm not here to criticize other Democrats. So my proposal is that student loan debt would be canceled up to $50,000.
So, Elizabeth, can you put this issue to bed and tell us whether or not you are, in fact, a member of a minority group?
So, middle-class families.
Why did you list yourself as an American Indian on this Texas bar application?
So, I grew up out in Oklahoma. So, look.
Why did you check those boxes?
With all the uncertainty in the world, feeling safe at home has never been more important. It's why I want to talk to you about Simply Safe Home Security. They're longtime friends of the Howie Carr Show, and for good reason. Simply Safe has made it easy to finally get comprehensive protection for your home. There's no technician or salesperson that needs to come and disrupt your house. You don't need to pay any outrageous monthly fees or sign a 2-year contract. You just order online, set it up yourself in under an hour, and your home is protected 24/7 with emergency dispatch for break-ins, fire, and more. All for just 50 cents a day. And we're not the only fans of Simply Safe. U.S. News and World Report named Simply Safe Best Overall Home Security of 2020. Go to simplysafehowie.com to try it out for yourself. That's simplysafehowie.com to make sure they know that our show sent you. That's simplysafehowie.com.
President Trump is clearly ethically unfit and intellectually unprepared to be the president of In the coming weeks, the House will hold hearings. Congresswoman Harris, Senator Harris. He's our president, and I would rather he not be taking something that has not been approved, especially in his age group and in his, shall we say, weight group, what is morbidly obese, they say. So completely inappropriate in so many ways that it's almost a given. It's like a child who comes in with mud on their pants or something.
Better strap yourself in. It's time for the Howie Carr Show.
Nameless agents riding around in vans, pulling people off the street, depriving them of their constitutional rights. That is not what a democracy looks like. And we are not going to have that in the city of Chicago.
The Department of Justice will immediately surge federal law enforcement to the city of Chicago.
We're moving in lock, stock, and barrel. And I dare you to keep me out!
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
There are meaningful ways that the president could actually help. Instead, it's denigrate, divide, and disparage.
Unfortunately, that level of pettiness is causing disaster in the city of Chicago right now. Too many politicians in my city and across this nation find it's easier to pander to the lowest common denominator in our societies as opposed to challenging people to believe and aspire for something greater.
Who's your captain? Howie Carr.
And what President Trump has done, his spreading of racism, the way he deals with people based on the color of their skin, their national origin, where they're from, is absolutely sickening. People don't make a distinction, as you well know, from a South Korean and someone from Beijing. They make no distinction. It's Asian.
You're not Chinese? I thought you were Chinese. She's not Chinese. I was duped.
Unchained and unstoppable.
You know, the cognitive test. Well, when do you take that? But usually when there is some issue or some concern about your cognitive abilities. So,
what were the animal shapes?
Well, it's a lion, a hippo, and a camel.
Isn't that a rhino in the middle?
A rhino.
You don't know a rhino
That's a
from an
rhino,
elephant.
sorry, yeah.
One morning, I shot an elephant in my pajamas. How he got in my pajamas, I don't know.
Rump swabs, hacks, and moonbats beware. It's Howie Carr.
844-500-4242. That is the toll-free number of the Howie Carr Show. If you'd like to join us, I think I'm going to be on Tucker tonight at 8:40, and we're going to be talking about those boobs from CNN, Don Lemon and Fredo Cuomo, who've apparently never taken cognitive tests. I wonder if they've ever even taken driving tests, or they've never had to stand in line anyway. And they seem like they're disconnected from reality that most of us live. in so many ways. Anyway, 844-500-4242. This is a big night here on the Howie Carr Show. Gooner is in the studio yet again. Gooner was visiting Dr. Matt. It's an old dog.
A little tune-up.
Need a little tune-up, so Dr. Matt is here. Wait a second. Here, pick her up, and I'll hold her for a while. Because, see, unlike Joe Biden had 19 people. Right when we were talking about that with Joe Concha, we had 770 people watching us on YouTube. So probably got I don't know how many we got now, but we got hundreds.
We just had 666.
Oh, so we lost some at the top of the hour, but we're all set. But anyway, you're seeing, if you're watching us on YouTube, you're seeing me and Gooner and Dr. Matt. How's she doing, Dr. Matt?
Gooner's has made a fantastic recovery once again.
Gooner the Wonder Pug.
She really is.
Yeah, she's got more lives than a cat. She's got the 9 lives, but she's doing well. But Dr. Matt is here to answer your questions. If you have any questions about your pets, it's a good time to get on board at 844-500-4242, 844-500-4242. I'm getting a message here. Show us Mr. Gooner. Well, this is Mr. Gooner right here. You could see him. Another 207. That is the oldest looking dog I've ever seen. Gooner did not come here to be made sport of. I'll tell you that. She does not appreciate that.
You know who I
am. All right. So, Dr. Matt, thanks for bringing her down, and we're going to take the questions. So, how do people get in touch with you if they need your services during the week?
They can call me at the Ipswich Animal Hospital at 978-948-8189.
Okay, give us that number again.
978-948-8189.
Okay, and where is the...
We're on Route 1, right just north of the Ipswich-Raleigh line in Raleigh.
Okay. So that's great. 844-500. You want to take Gooner away? No, you don't want to take her away. Okay, she can stay with me for a while then. So do we have to, should we be thinking about anything as pet owners right now? What's the tick flea situation here this summer?
We're sort of in the lull. The tick season will start back up about the first or second week in August. But right now with the high heat, high humidity, the ticks sort of take a break. The flea season really gets going here in the fall too. The biggest thing we've had today, several calls today about pets having problems with thunderstorms because we've had some great ones today. So,
yeah. It's not a problem for Gooner, though, anymore, is it, with her hearing? It's not.
It is amazing how lack of hearing can help your anxiety or vision.
Right. No, she's not too worried. She's not too worried about approaching large dogs on the bike path in Wellesley when I have her out. She's not too worried about anything except...
Well, lucky she's such a goodwill ambassador. No one would be mean to her.
That's right. By the way, this segment with Dr. Matt Callahan is brought to you by Genesis 950. If you're thinking of replacing your carpets due to pet stains and odors, you must try Genesis 950 first. It breaks down the bonds of stains and odors so they're gone from carpets and padding for good. Order a gallon direct at genesis950.com. Enter code Howie to get more than $10 in savings. All right. So let's see here. I got one. My dog has EPI, not a German Shepherd. How would you recommend he be treated? That's from 603.
If by EPI you mean exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, then you treat him with, you replace their enzymes. There's plenty of products. The main one being Viocase is a product that replaces the enzymes that they need to digest their food. Dogs with EPI can live completely normal lives.
So it's not a problem.
And it's a long-term maintenance. You're not going to cure the problem, but you can cure the symptoms.
Okay. 844-500-4242. Claire, you're next with Howie Carr and Dr. Matt. Go ahead.
Okay, my niece is sheltering a dog, fostering it, 7 months old. It's gorgeous. And twice it's peed in her bed. What's that mean?
Well, there's kind of a big fork in the road here from a diagnostic standpoint. You want to find out first whether this dog has a urinary tract infection or not. If they have a urinary tract infection, you have to treat the urinary tract infection. If it's behavioral, you have to treat the behavior. But you never want to treat a behavioral problem then find out weeks down the road that it was just an infection that you could have treated with some antibiotics. So,
Dr. Carr would suggest the first thing to do is to make sure you take the dog out.
That would be terribly important.
As late at night as possible, and that might reduce the chances of anything.
Do you know what
bad
kind of
happening.
dog it is, other than gorgeous, or?
It's one of those puppies. You know, she volunteers at a shelter from Tennessee, and nobody wanted to shelter it, and she's doing it. And she has a Maine Coon cat. Who's boss?
Sure, as well it should be. She probably needs Genesis 950.
Thanks for the plug, Dr. Matt, for our sponsor. 844-500-4242. Let's see. How old is Gooner? Looks cute on your lap. That's from Jay. And then it says, is it true what they say? You look like your dog and your dog looks like you? Well, I tell you, both me and Gooner used to have darker hair than we have now. That's certainly true. There's no question about that. Bruce, you're next with Howie Carr and Dr. Matt. Go ahead, Bruce.
Hey, Dr. Matt. Hey, Howie.
Yes.
I didn't know. I thought Gooner was a boy.
Gooner is a trans male dog, if you know what I mean. He's female. He's a cis. I don't even know what the terminology is. I don't know how to explain it. He self-identifies as a male. Let me put it that way, Bruce.
She has some shoulders. Well, I got a 11-year-old American Staffordshire red nose. His name is Seven, and I have my neighbor because I can't take him in my truck with me during the hot seasons because it's even with the AC because I drive a truck but I just want to ask the doctor, why does my dog take to this guy more than when he's known him less?
Are you jealous, Bruce?
Oh no, he's not. When I leave, he says that he's not the same dog till I get back. But I'm talking about as far as all my other friends that have known this dog for like years and years, and this my neighbor has only known him for like 6 months.
Yeah, well, there's definitely. I mean, dogs are complex in personality, and just as one person would like another person more, or even another dog more, a dog would like one person more than another person. I mean, it's just they're. I'm rarely unimpressed by their complexity. So they're very smart. They're very complex, and they have memories of different things. And for the way this person acts around Seven is just what he wants as far as a human being. So it's really a nice story actually that he likes him so much.
And Bruce, perhaps he's just feeding him some delicious chicken. Or hamburgers when you're not around.
When the statement "you can't buy friends" does not apply to dogs.
The way to a dog's heart is through his stomach, much like me, as a matter of fact. Thanks for the call, Bruce. 844-500-4242. We're with Dr. Matt here. If you've got a question about your pets, and again, where do people go to reach you, Doctor?
They can reach me at the Ipswich Animal Hospital at 978-948-8189.
And Gooner swears by it. And I do too. I'm Howie Carr.
He didn't come here to be made sport of. Howie Carr.
This hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you in part by Precinct 10 Restaurant in Weymouth. From their creamy baked mac and cheese with short ribs to their Louisiana-style paella, Precinct 10 is first class. Open at 4, Tuesday through Sunday for dine-in and curbside takeout.
It's gonna be Subaru Summer. Subaru Summer is going on now. Embrace the great outdoors in a brand new 2020 Subaru Ascent, starting at $31,995 with 0% financing for up to 63 months. Plus, with your Subaru purchase, get 90-day payment deferral from our participating retailers. Powered by standard symmetrical all-wheel drive, the Ascent is prepared for your summertime road trip. For complete details, visit SubaruofNewEngland.com.
Do you have no water, poor water quality, or low pressure? This is Howie Carr. Call the local water service experts, Skillings & Sons. They're ready with 24-hour service with no extra charge for after-hours calls. And a fleet of trucks stocked with parts to make sure you're not without water. With over 50 years of experience, they take pride in having a family of employees that are the best in the business. For all things water, Skillings & Sons is there for you. SkillingsandSons.com.
We all love President Trump's off-the-cuff comments, but he's never in rarer form than when he's speaking at a rally. Take a listen.
I hit Pocahontas way too early. I thought she was gone. She's emerged from the ashes. And now it looks like she could beat Sleepy Joe. He's fallen asleep. He has no idea what the hell he's doing or saying. I don't know. I'm not a vain person. But I look better under an incandescent light than these crazy lights that are beaming down on.
That guy's got a serious weight problem. Go home, start exercising. Got a bigger problem than I do. Now he goes home and his mom says, "What the hell have you just done?" How do you top that? I'm just ready, the big, beautiful crescendo, and this character's going back home. One person just going home to mommy a little bit sooner. Ah, these are phony people, but that's okay. You know, when you think of it, I'm president, and they're not. You really have to elect me. Whether you like me or not, it makes no difference, because our country will go to hell if any of these people get in.
You've been hearing me talk about Super Beets for a while now, and I'm sure some of you are still thinking, why Super Beets? You could take it from me. The benefits of Super Beets are incredible. I take them twice a day. Once in the morning when I get up, even before I have my first cup of coffee, and the other time in the afternoon, right before the show. It gives me a burst of energy. It's great for my blood pressure. It's good for circulation. It just makes you feel better. If that doesn't convince you, we can talk about the science behind Super Beets. Beets have nitrates. Nitrates support better blood flow, and better blood flow equals better energy and efficiency throughout the body, and even supports healthy blood pressure. But Super Beets does so much more than eating regular beets and is unparalleled compared to other beet powders. Just one scoop of Super Beets has the nitric oxide equivalent of 3 whole beets. Go to superbeetsradio.com/Howie and try out Super Beets yourself. www.superbeetsradio.com/Howie. www.superbeetsradio.com/Howie.
Jim Acosta, without a doubt, wins the competition for Trump's least favorite journalist of all time. Let's listen to some of their feistier moments.
I'll tell you what, CNN should be ashamed of itself having you working for them. You are a rude, terrible person. You shouldn't be working for CNN. Should I let him have a little bit more? What do you think, Peter? Peter, should I let him have a little bit more? Sit down. I'm changing it from fake news, though.
Doesn't that undermine...
Very fake news.
I know, but aren't you...
When I raise money... Excuse me. I've watched you on television. You're a real beauty. Honestly, I think you should let me run the country. You run CNN. All right. And if you did it well, your ratings would be much better.
If I may ask one other question. Mr. President, if I may ask one other question, are you worried...
That's enough. That's enough.
Mr. President, what do you say to your critics who say that you're concocting a national emergency here in order to get your wall because you couldn't get it through other ways?
Moms, what do you think? Do you think I'm creating something? Ask these incredible women who lost their daughters and their sons, because your question is a very political question, because you have an agenda. You're CNN. You're fake news.
This is Kevin from Brockton.
This is Karen from Boiling Springs, South Carolina.
This is Officer Mark calling from beautiful Stratford County, New Hampshire. And this is the Howie Carr Show.
Whoa, if I could talk to the animals, just imagine it chatting with a chimpanzee.
If I could talk to the hippo, I'd tell him I knew he wasn't a rhino, unlike Don Lemon last night on TV. Talking about erectile dysfunction isn't easy. Good thing Roman makes treating erectile dysfunction simple, safe, and from the comfort of your own home. Get a free online evaluation today at GetRoman.com/Howie. If approved, you'll get $15 off your first order of erectile dysfunction treatment. GetRoman.com/Howie. Taylor, what's the poll question? What are the results thus far?
Will you be following Major League Baseball this year?
No.
91% say no.
Moves up a little bit every hour, it seems. All right, let's see here. 207. I have a 22-pound cat that is short-haired that constantly gets hairballs. He does not take well to the hairball medicine that comes in a tube. Is there any other remedy I can give him, Dr. Matt?
Yeah, there's actually diets that you can give him that have the hairball remedy in it already. So, and most cats will eat it.
That's the best way. How do you find
well,
that?
Yeah,
what would you be looking for?
Any of the pet care sites, Chewy or anything like that, will carry them and just write hairball diet.
Hairball diet.
And the other one is to brush them frequently, and so that will help too.
Doesn't shaving the cat solve that problem too?
I was going with brushing him frequently, but shaving him would solve that too. Yes.
There's one more before we go back to the lines. My lab husky mix is 13 years old. I took her to the vet to get a cyst removed. They did an exam, said it was hard to hear or hard, which could be conducive. It could indicate a lung problem. If I wanted to find out what was wrong, it was $400 for an X-ray plus $200 for blood work. But the vet also gave me the distinct impression. But 13 is about as long as my dog's life expectancy is. Not sure what to do.
That's a frustrating one because it does depend on your ability to pay for the diagnostics. I really think the great thing about veterinary medicine is we can still make diagnostic decisions for our pets. The problem is we have to pay for them. We don't have an insurance company that's going to pay for them. I certainly think that hard to hear hearts, I would recommend pursuing it, because if it's a problem that can be solved, then, we see Labradors at 13, 14, 15, and sometimes older than that.
So he could last.
Absolutely.
He could last longer.
Right.
Okay. Kelly, you're next with Howie Carr and Dr. Matt. Go ahead, Kelly.
Hi. I just wanted to say, first of all, that I have a dog with EPI, and she actually also needs B12 shots, not just the enzymes. And she's overdue for blood work, and I don't want to take her into the vet's office if I can't go with her. Do you know if it's Charlie Baker that's keeping the vets from letting people in, or is it a vet
I think it's
by vet
yeah,
practice
and
decision?
in many cases it's local boards of health, and the way veterinary clinics just want to operate. So in fact, that's the way we would operate too. I certainly would, if you would ask your vet if you can at least watch the process from far away, that might be a compromise that they're willing to make. If they're making you stay in your car, of course you can't watch it. But I think, most veterinary clinics, I can't speak for all of them, but the vast majority of veterinary clinics, a blood draw is a very quick thing, very quick and simple, and they should be able to manage it pretty well.
Okay, thanks, Kelly. Kathleen, you're next with Howie Carr and Dr. Matt. Go ahead, Kathleen.
Hi, Howie. Hi,
Hi.
Dr. Matt.
Hi.
I'm an 8-year-old standard Labradoodle, and I run with him. So this morning, but I run early in the morning, so this morning we're out running at 5. We usually run, before it gets too hot. But he's 8. I'm 55, so I figure we're about the same age. He's had a few mornings where he hasn't done too well after our runs.
Yeah.
Do you know when they get too old? I'm still running.
Well, I think a dog's going to age sort of independently from that 7 years to every year. They just age differently than that. And obviously bigger dogs age more rapidly than very small dogs. And so I think that you have to respect the dog's ability to do something and not try to, my recommendation with most dogs is push the envelope, but don't break the envelope. And so you have to determine what that envelope is. If your dog can run 2 miles, but not 3, you should run 2 and not 3. I hate to sort of go back to the old physician's joke, hey doc, it hurts when I do that. Well, then don't do that, And so what you want to do is gauge your pet, this is their ability in this type of weather. You always want to be very careful in hot, humid weather because dogs are just not nearly as good at controlling their body temperature as humans. They're much more susceptible to heat stroke. So you want to be real careful there.
Yeah. 844-500-42. 42. Here's 603. My wife has 2 Siamese cats, 3 years old. They have the same father but different mothers. One's very slight, the other's heavy. The heavy one likes to pounce and bite the smaller one. That's a common problem in all species, isn't it?
Yeah.
How can we stop this?
I think if you want to, the sort of least angry or mean punishment that you could do would be like a squirt bottle or something like that. I think that allows you to admonish the bully and not punish him too much, that he's scared of you. So
that might work.
Yeah. You just can't have Siamese safari. You just can't hunt them, in the house. You only when they're being bad, not for entertainment purposes. So.
All right. Andre, you're next with Howie Carr and Dr. Matt. Go ahead, Andre.
How you doing?
Good.
So I just bought 2 German Shepherds, and I was wondering, when do I start straightening out their ears, and what kind of dog food would be the best for these puppies? They're 2 months old, and they're both sisters.
Yeah, in the vast majority of cases, German Shepherd ears will stand erect on their own. You just have to give it a little bit of time. There are methods for taping the ears. I don't really recommend it because the vast majority of dogs don't need it. The cartilage has to harden and mature, and then it can stand the weight of the ear and stand up straight.
Okay.
Was that it? Was that the only question?
Yeah, that was good. And the food, what kind of food?
Oh, what kind of food? Yes, large breed puppy food. Large breed puppy foods are slightly lower in nutrition than regular puppy foods or regular adult foods, and that will cause them to grow more slowly.
I'm Howie Carr. The last few months have been a blur for all of us. I can hardly believe it's already summer. The folks at DiStefano Hair Restoration just launched their annual summer special, and this year it truly is an amazing deal. They are offering transplants starting at only $5,000. This is an amazing opportunity for anyone who has been thinking about hair restoration to take advantage of the lowest price hair transplants in New England. This is a limited time offer with only 50 spots available, so act quickly. Dr. Highness did a great job for me, and he will do the same for you too. DiStefano Hair Restoration is open for business. To learn more, go to hairman.com/Howie. You may have more time on your hands now, so take advantage of it and get the hair you've been wanting for years. People always stop me and say, it looks so natural. You can also see my before and after pictures on the website. DiStefano Hair Restoration has 5 locations in New England and is open for business. For more information on location openings, go to hairman.com/Howie. Get back your confidence and get the hair you've always wanted.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
Who was your favorite actor?
Humphrey Bogart, no doubt about it. I love all the old Humphrey Bogart movies. Jimmy Cagney would be a close second.
Do you have a celebrity crush?
No celebrity crushes.
Ginger or Marianne?
I always was a Marianne person. Never was bowled over by that Hollywood look. Plus, Ginger was in more revealing attire, scantily clad.
Salty or sweet?
Neither, but if I have to pick, I'll go with sweet.
Movies or TV?
TV.
McDonald's or Burger King?
McDonald's, although I'd prefer Five Guys.
Facebook or Twitter?
Definitely Twitter. I hate Facebook.
Cake or pie?
I'm a cake guy.
Coke or Pepsi?
Diet Coke.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee, obviously.
Winter or summer?
Summer! Good Lord. Why would you want winter? It's cold and it's dark. Now's the perfect time to get a pair of premium wireless earbuds, and Raycon is the way to go. Raycon start at about half the price of other premium brands on the market, and they sound just as amazing. And Raycon's everyday E25 earbuds are their best model yet. You get 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, more bass, and a more compact design that gives you a comfortable, noise-isolating fit. Perfect for conference calls, video chats, or binging podcasts. Raycon was founded by Ray J, and celebrities like Cardi B and J.R. Smith have already given Raycons their seal of approval. I love my Raycons, and Grace loves hers, too.
Howie, I love my Raycons. Best birthday gift ever.
I listen to much better music than she does, though.
Hey, that's not true.
Now it's your turn to see what the hype is all about. Go to buyraycon.com/Howie. That's buyraycon.com/Howie. buyraycon.com/Howie.
He is the youngest senator that is going to be running. In his video, he also mentioned he's the only senator that lives in the inner city, and he's an unmarried vegan. So a lot of very unique qualities Cory Booker brings to the table, Kate.
Now, I appreciate the comments of my colleagues. This is about the closest I'll probably ever have in my life to an I am Spartacus moment. I am Spartacus. I am Spartacus.
Joey, you like movies about gladiators?
Have you ever had an LGBTQ law clerk?
I've not been a judge, so I don't have any law clerks.
Someone working for you.
I'm to be honest, I don't know the sexual orientation of my staff.
When Dick Durbin called me, I had tears of rage when I heard about this experience in that meeting. And for you not to feel that hurt, tears of rage.
Would you just stop being so dramatic?
I'm a big believer that if this country hasn't broken your heart, then you don't love her enough.
Here's 1 minute of President Eric Swalwell.
Chris, so far, the evidence is uncontradicted that the president used taxpayer dollars to ask the Ukrainians to help him cheat an election.
But I will always be real with you. I will be bold without the bold. Welcome to my fellow candidates, whom I consider we are all a part of being the Avengers. The Republicans in 2016, that was the Hunger Games. And, you know, it's said often that history doesn't repeat itself, it rhymes. And we heard a lot of rhymes yesterday.
My wife, Brittany, also wants you to know we've got 2 beautiful children, Nelson and Cricket. But the decision to have children was her choice.
I'm the only candidate calling for a ban and buyback on every single assault weapon.
Again, we have to have an ankle monitor on this president. This is the worst possible time for a serial offender like him to be running around unsupervised.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
844-500-4242. With us here is Dr. Matt Callahan, the house vet of the Howie Carr Show. He does a great job with Gooner. And someone says he has a cat that's also gender confused, and he's glad to know that he's not the only one who owns such a pet. But it's an evolving paradigm. Dogs, gender problems and worries, et cetera, et cetera. Where can people go if they want to have your consultation?
People can call me at the Ipswich Animal Hospital at 978-948-8189.
All right, 844-500-4242. We got full lines here. We'll just keep going right through them here as quickly as we can. And again, anyone who wants to get an autographed copy of any of my books, go to HowieCarrShow.com, click on store for the next 2 days. All the books will be autographed. Whatever you order, it'll be autographed. HowieCarrShow.com, click on store. That's right. Max, you're next with Howie Carr and Dr. Matt. Go ahead, Max.
Hi, Dr. Matt. Hey, Howie.
Hi.
I have 2 cats. They're litter mates. The male and the female both have been fixed. The female pees in my office. Can I say that?
Yeah.
On the carpet, next to the litter box. You leave a piece of paper on the floor in the office, it pees on the paper. It's driving me nuts. I'm the only one that likes this cat that pees in my office.
You need, first of all, you need Genesis 950. If you're thinking of replacing your carpets due to pet stains and odors, you must try Genesis 950 first. It breaks down the bonds of stains and odors so they're gone from carpets and padding for good. I don't know what to tell you about your fellow workers, though. Order a gallon direct at Genesis950.com. Enter code Howie to get more than $10 in savings. So the plug is over. So go ahead. What's
okay, Max, back to the cats here. So again, this can be behavioral or urinary tract infection, and that is always the first thing. Your vet needs to get a urine sample and find out whether it's an infection or not, or an inflammation or not. So cats can have cystitis or urinary tract infections or crystals. They also can have behavioral problems, which this may very likely be. In that case, you want to put a litter box in your office if you don't already have one, and then over time try to move the litter box wherever you want the cat to go.
Yeah. Thanks for the call, Max. Good luck. Chris, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Chris, and Dr. Matt.
Hey, Howie. First
Hi.
of all, be worthy of your heritage.
Oh, another Deerfield guy. One of the VIPs, her brother went to Deerfield. It's a Deerfield night here.
Great. Hey, Dr. Matt, I've got a 2-year-old. She's half pit bull, half hound, and I live up here in Vermont, and she catches everything that runs around in my yard, rabbits, chipmunks, red squirrels, and brings them to me, I think most of the time, but apparently I think she's eaten them a couple times.
Sure.
Is that anything I need to worry about?
Yeah, generally not. I mean, I had a dog that was a very good hunter too, and I never found that she had any great problems. I think even bone, when it's in the raw state, they can digest it. It's cooked bone that they have more trouble with. I think the biggest problem I have seen with good hunters is they can get an animal stuck. So stuck in their esophagus or stuck in their GI tract. So, but I don't think you have to do anything special for that. You're just observing your dog every day. And if they're not feeling well, just recognize that that's a potential issue.
Thanks for the call, Chris. When in Pecumtuck's Valley, they sang their songs of praise. Deerfield, dear. Enough of that. Sandy, you're next with Howie Carr and Dr. Matt. Go ahead, Sandy.
Yes, hi. I have a St. Bernard mix, 10 years old. Well, he might be a Leonberger, so somebody said to me.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, we got him from the town. he's a really nice dog, but he has this awful stench. And my husband has tried to, and the vet as well, or the groomer has tried to clean up that gland, you know what I mean? But he's still, like even the next day, he stinks still. So I don't know if he has an infection or if it's the food. Or,
yeah. Do you think he one, it's exceptional that you have a St. Bernard Cross that's 10 years old, but do you feel like his whole body stinks or that he stinks from a certain area?
No, his whole body.
Okay. There's an old-time medication that you probably can still find, and it might help you out there, called chlorophyll tablets. And they used to be more regularly used maybe 25, 30 years ago, but not so much anymore. But I would bet that's worth a try in this case.
What do you do? Feed it?
Feed it to them, yeah, just in their food. Chlorophyll tablets in their food.
Grind it up or?
Yeah, depending on your, if you have a Labrador, you just throw it to them. But maybe a St. Bernard Cross, you have to grind it up and put it in their meal.
And that helps with the smell.
It does with a lot of dogs, yeah.
I never heard of that. That's a new one on me.
There you go.
Okay. Chlorophyll. Thanks for the call, Sandy. Ken, you're next with Howie Carr and Dr. Matt. Go ahead, Ken.
Hey, hi, Howie. Hi, Matt.
Hey, Ken.
Dr. Matt. I have a 5-year-old standard size smooth-haired dachshund, and one of his rear paws is not sitting quite true. It's cockeyed a little bit. And that particular paw is getting cysts in between his the nails, if you will, or the paws themselves. He's been on a antibiotic, started out with a 1-week regime. That seemed to reduce the cysts, but right after the regime stopped, he was back licking at them, and they were up again.
Yeah.
We went with a month regime, same thing.
Yeah.
And initially, the doctor thought that it was a potentially an allergy, which we thought strange that it was only on one foot. In talking with other dachshund owners, we understand that it's possible that they get cysts in the toes.
Yeah.
How do we? What do we do?
Well, as you're probably already coming to the realization that interdigital cysts, which are common in hunting dogs, but I have seen it in dachshunds too, is a management problem. It's not a thing that you're going to cure and be forever free of. So I certainly think that foot soaking, sometimes in Epsom salts, can help. There are vets that will either surgically remove them or remove them even with a laser, and that can help you temporarily. So there's really quite a bit that you can do. Antibiotic therapy is certainly the first thing that I try with these patients, but you find out long term that you have to be managing them full time.
Okay, so it sounds like a real. I mean, it's just something you don't.
Yeah,
problem.
It's kind of one of those minor nagging issues, right? So it can cause pain and lameness. So this dog probably, if they have a foot problem, it's probably due to that. Yeah. When we see it in Labradors, it's that there's a classic Labrador with these giant paws and their toes are really sort of smushed together. So
508 raises a question I was thinking of myself, but I didn't feel it was appropriate to ask. How do you get a urine sample from a cat?
Typically done at the veterinarian. You can use, although it can be done at home, you use litter that doesn't absorb urine, and so it looks like cat litter but doesn't absorb any liquid. If you bring them to the vet, they do it via the term is called cystocentesis, and you insert a small needle into the bladder and get a sample that way.
Officer Mark says his pit bulls, Taser and Capstun, are coming home with mail-in ballot applications, all with duplicate names on them. That's a common problem these days in Massachusetts.
I can't help him with that.
Just take have them send back one Democrat request, one Republican request, so that way you can vote in both primaries on September the 1st. 844-500-4242. Fran, you're next with Howie Carr and Dr. Matt. Go ahead, Fran.
Thank you, Howie, dog lover, Dr. Matt. I have two little questions. My dog is 9 now. She's had a thunder problem where she can't stand it. She even perceives, like, when the rain drops come, she's ahead of it.
Yeah.
And she gets very antsy. She paws at the floor now, hysterically. And I was trying Bach Flower Rescue Remedy, and I don't getting an allergy to that, so I don't do it anymore.
Sure.
But is it just a common thing when they get older? She's really, like, hysterically pawing in a corner of the floor. But I try to corral her now into a space because, they like to go under a table or a bed. And she stays in the bathroom, and I have to babysit her while I'm on the floor
Sure.
in the hall.
Yeah, that's very common. So I think what you're asking here is we've talked about this before, but it's important to understand that as dogs age, their anxiety issues get worse. They don't get better. So expecting improvement in the general condition.
So a puppy would be less inclined to be freaked out by what happened this afternoon?
Absolutely, yeah. They don't understand it yet. Yeah, they don't understand how scary it is. 10-year-olds are generally have more anxiety issues than 5-year-olds, and 5-year-olds more than 2-year-olds. But I think there's lots of things that you can do, and you have to do lots of things. I think one of the things you've done, which is to find kind of a safe space for your dog, is a really great idea. If a dog feels comfortable in a closet or a bathroom or a bathtub, that's perfectly all right that they go there. And if you can do any sort of sensory deprivation, that helps too. So pulling a shade, playing some music so they can't hear the thunder and lightning or the rainstorm, that can all help. And then there's supplements that you can use, and there's medication you can use, and you can do that through your veterinarian.
I assume you've been getting more calls when all the fireworks have been going off this summer, too.
Yeah, fireworks, thunderstorms, it's the same baseline anxiety, yeah.
Thanks for the call, friend. Steve, you're next with Howie Carr and Dr. Matt. Go ahead, Steve.
Hey, good evening, guys. Thanks for having me on. Dr. Matt, I've got a 5 or 6-year-old black lab. He's just like the biggest, mushiest dog you've ever seen, just a love of everything. My wife actually has him trained to be a therapy dog. But for whatever reason, whenever we walk him on a leash and he sees like a culvert or a drain, he goes ballistic. I mean, he'll to the point where he'll actually pull away from us. If we've got him on the leash, he'll pull the leash out of our hand and literally attack the drain, the most ferocious growls, and he bites it, and he goes just nuts. And other than that, he's literally the perfect dog. And we just don't know how to cure that behavioral issue.
Sure. And so in this case, a friend of mine said to me years ago, there's nothing better than a 6-year-old lab. And I understand that having had a Labrador before. They mellow out nicely by about the time they're 6. So in this case, certainly, if you can avoid these culverts, I would avoid them, because his issue with culverts is apparently not going to get any better if he's got it at 6.
I was telling you, Gunnar likes to just go into the tries to jump into the local creek.
Yeah,
and I just have to keep pulling her back all the time. What is it with
It's
these
easier
dogs?
with pugs than with Labradors.
Yeah, but it's the same thing. I mean,
Right,
what's the
it is.
attraction, though?
Well, I mean, the attraction of a creek is dogs like to jump in water, and they're water dogs, and Gunnar apparently is a water dog. But I think other than avoiding it, you just have to work on training. Train to heal. Dogs do not multitask very well, as they're just like their owners, and so if you have to make them choose. So especially heel commands, where you really, really work with them every day to teach them heel. And my best behaved dog, I worked with her literally every day of her life, to just a few minutes every day to make sure she knew what to do.
Really? Okay. Thank you, Steve. 844-500-4242. With 2020 as crazy as it's been, you really start to appreciate the little things. I know I haven't talked about ButcherBox in a while, but my monthly delivery of meat is a convenience I look forward to. And so does Gunnar, by the way. It's one less thing I need to worry about, especially when going to the grocery store can be such a hassle. I just got a text from somebody who said he just had to wear a mask when he went into the butcher shop, and he said, I'm not going back there anymore. Well, you don't have to wear a mask when you sit down and order your box at the ButcherBox. They got the best, highest quality meats available, all kinds of specialty cuts in poultry, pork, beef, and seafood as well. ButcherBox makes accessing high-quality meat easier and more affordable than ever. They source their meat from farms with the best practices, ensuring the meat you get was humanely raised without antibiotics or added hormones ever. From free-range organic chicken to heritage breed pork, 100% grass-fed and grass-finished beef, to fresh-caught seafood like salmon and scallops, ButcherBox has over 20 different cuts of meat to choose from, and their boxes ship fresh right to your door. And their website is loaded with awesome recipes that the whole family will love. Believe me, you're going to love getting that monthly delivery from ButcherBox, and you know you're all set for the entire month when you see it arrive on your doorstep or in your lobby or wherever you live. Sign up for ButcherBox today at butcherbox.com/Howie. That's butcherbox.com/Howie. butcherbox.com/Howie. I'm Howie Carr.
The Howie Carr Show.
This hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you in part by Route 1 Grill House in Saugus, located just before the Cactus. From their steak tips and ribs, the Route 1 Grill House has it all. Open now 7 days a week for both outdoor and indoor dining.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
You are known as a cheap bastard. Which one of your daughters is the cheapest and why?
Charlotte is the cheapest, and I say that because she's always using my credit card. We keep changing the credit cards over and over again, and she keeps busting in and using them again. Most recently, just this week, she spent $75 at AT&T.
What's the cheapest thing you do now to save money?
The cheapest thing I do currently to save money, I guess, is I take all the bottles and cans back to the market basket every weekend. I always like to save that money. You know, I can't stand to throw those bottles and cans away and have the unclaimed returns go to the state of Massachusetts for illegal aliens.
Do you recycle?
Yes, I do recycle. When I got on the town meeting, I saw that the town dump was probably the only department in the town that was running in the black, and it's because of all the recycling that was going on. So I try to keep my taxes down that way. Here's how it works with my retirement accounts, and I'll bet yours too. If your 401k, your SEP, your IRA, whatever, is going up, you probably don't think very much about it, right? But if it's going down, well, there's nothing much else you can think of. So for the last couple of years, none of us have been worrying much about those quarterly statements. But lately, it's gotten a little worrisome. It's not that bad, not yet anyway, but what goes up must come down. Now is the time to start thinking about adjusting your investments. Gold and silver have always been a hedge against stock market volatility. Uncertainty about the future has traditionally met rising prices for precious metals. Orion Metal Exchange is the only precious metals company I trust. Give Orion a call to get a free, no-obligation investment guide about protecting your future with an enduring investment in gold and silver. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain, including peace of mind, by calling Orion Metal Exchange now. Call them today at 800-912-2300. And with Orion, you'll get more metal for your money. Call 800-912-2300. That's 800-912-2300. And now, another minute of Madam Speaker, Nancy Pelosi.
But again, don't...
You have these wings, AOC and her group on one side.
That's like 5 people. They would say, play games, and then they'd say, open sesame. Except we don't say sesame, we say open Biden. But no, because we are not. We have the number is growing. We have 91 women. There are 115 women in Congress, 116. 15 are Republican, 91 are Democrats. I happen to be a manifestation of the women power that is coming forth now, but only one manifestation. It was like getting kicked in the back by a mule constantly. It was physical. It was so unbelievable. The Times found Lincoln. Not to be presumptuous to put ourselves in those categories, but the Times have found us.
This is Deb in Danielson, Connecticut.
This is Greg in Boston, Mass.
This is Elizabeth in Wakefield, Massachusetts, and this is the Howie Carr Show.
Dr. Matt, you're really moving the calls. Everything is going smoothly tonight. People need to call you in the morning for any information on their pets, consultation. What's the number?
Sure, they can call me at the Ipswich Animal Hospital at 978-948-8189.
And please ask how often to give your dog a bath.
The newer dog shampoos are so well formulated that, if you gave your dog a bath every day, all you'd have is a soggy, angry dog. But so it's really up to you. Every dog's a little bit different. My dog gets 2 or 3 baths a year, but I know clients who give their dogs a bath every month.
All right. Bruce from the Mets. My 2 sister cats don't scratch furniture. I have scratch pads all over. I trim their nails. They, for some reason, scratch the carpet to the point of pulling it out. Any fix?
Wow, that's a toughie. You can use stuff like soft paws that are nail caps. I will tell you, very few clients continue doing that after a very short time.
I just imagine trying to put a cap on a cat's nails.
Oh, they've got to be done at the
I'd
vet.
rather get
they
the
don't
urine
get done.
test.
Yeah, exactly. But that's a real toughie. Buy cheap carpets, I would say.
All right, Peter, you're next with Howie Carr and Dr. Matt. Go ahead, Peter.
Hey, how you doing, guys? I have a 10-year-old lab, yellow lab. Last 2 or 3 years, he's really itching a lot, shedding, ear infections. I've had him to the vet several times. He's on Apoquil.
Yeah.
And it seems to keep up with it okay, but, he's still in pain. I hate to see him like that,
You mean pain as far as itching, or?
Yeah, he's just bothered by it. And
yeah.
I researched a little bit. I checked into the diet. I feed him Taste of the Wild.
Yeah.
I thought it was a pretty good food. But
if you're going to try it as a food trial, which certainly is, that's usually what vets will sort of go to last, mainly because it's a giant pain in the neck, and by neck I actually don't mean neck. But but food trials are very difficult to do. Dogs do not get allergic to types of food; they get allergic to ingredients in food. So wherever, let's pick chicken. If your dog's allergic to chicken, whatever diet you feed that has chicken in it will cause them a problem. So there are 2 ways to go. You can go with something called a novel protein diet, which is usually something like a fish and potato diet, or you can go to something that's actually been called hydrolyzed, where the protein's been broken down so small that the dog can't recognize it. So those are the 2 things. But you have to do only that food for 3 to 6 weeks, and then you'll know.
Oh, that's a long time. But
yes.
Yeah. Thanks for the call, Peter. Our cat throws up every morning after eating. He's always been anxious, and I think it's related. Anything we can do?
These cats have to get worked up. I don't know how old the cat is, but I will tell you that there was a recent study by a feline specialist, and he decided to work all these cats up, and he found that a number of them had inflammatory bowel disease, and some of them had GI lymphoma, and that's what I have found too. By working these cats up, you find that these cats generally have an underlying illness that you need to treat.
And it's not psychological.
It is unlikely to be psychological.
That's what I suspected, but I don't have a degree like you do, so I'm letting you answer the question for the text there. Okay, we'll take one more call very quick. Give us your phone number one more time.
978-948-8189.
Okay, Dave, you're next with Howie Carr and Dr. Matt. Go ahead, Dave. Quickly.
Hi, Howie.
Hi.
Dr. Matt. How are you?
Good.
We have a 11-year-old Yorkshire Terrier that was a rescue dog down in Arkansas.
Yep.
And
quickly,
for some reason, from the first day, he turned around and he just barks at me constantly when I come, when I go, but loves my wife and her friend.
Yeah, this is
Dave's getting no love.
Classic
Dave
terrier,
get some love?
Terrier behavior. Terriers can be tough in this case. As Howie's done in the past, I would try bribery.
Butcher box always works for me. See you tomorrow. I'm Howie Carr. Talking about erectile dysfunction isn't. Usually we just brush it off or blame ourselves, saying things like, I lost my mojo. Or we avoid it altogether with excuses like, I had a long day at work. Or, sorry, honey, I'm just not feeling it. But with Roman, it is easy to talk about with a real doctor who can prescribe real medication. It's simple, safe, and totally discreet. With Roman, you can get a free online evaluation and ongoing care for erectile dysfunction, all from the comfort and privacy of your own home. The doctor will work with you to find the best treatment plan. If medication is appropriate, Roman will ship it to you with free 2-day shipping. Getting started is simple. Just go to GetRoman.com/Howie and complete an online